Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. After 20 years of retreat, you will be born with Gods of Destruction level combat power. Chapter 1. Dragon Ball World, 7th Universe, on planet Vegeta. At this moment, a teenager about 10 years old was looking around in astonishment. The boy's name was Zhang Yang. He looked around with a tail growing around him. He looked very similar to Saiyan in an anime he had watched in his previous life, and his mouth suddenly opened a little. Suddenly, a burst of memory hit him, followed by a look of shock on his face. Saiyan, planet Vegeta, this, really is the world of Dragon Ball. After completely absorbing the memory, the shock on Zhang Yang's face deepened. Moreover, the planet Vegeta he is currently on is the planet Vegeta, which King Vegeta led Saiyan to occupy not long ago. In other words, this is the period when the Dragon Ball plot has not yet begun. Barnes. At this moment, a yell pulled Zhang Yang from his thoughts back to reality. Barnes is exactly Zhang Yang's Saiyan name. What's wrong, Thor? After Zhang Yang came back to his senses, he turned his head and looked at a young man walking towards him. A memory of him instantly popped up in his mind, and he blurted out his name. Look at you blankly, what are you thinking? Thor laughed. I'm thinking that I have to work harder. Saiyan's journey can't be satisfied with just one planet. It's the Wangyang universe. Zhang Yang said casually. Hearing Zhang Yang's words, Thor's eyes lit up, then he patted him on the shoulder with a chuckle, and said, that's a good point. But, if I remember correctly, you are only 10 years old bar. Yes, Zhang Yang nodded. At the age of 10, it is already very good to have 1,000 combat points. I believe that in a few years, you will reach at least 2,000 combat points. Thor's face was full of admiration. He was only 2 years older than Zhang Yang, but his combat power was 400 points less than him. In other words, at the age of 12, his combat power was only 600 points. With such a little combat power, to be honest, if you work harder, you may be able to become a mid to lower fighter of the Saiyan clan in the future. But if you want to get a higher status, you definitely don't even think about it. Ha ha, Zhang Yang smiled. 2,000 points of combat power may be an extremely terrifying existence for some Saiyans, and even for some planets. But, he is a time traveler. Moreover, he is also very familiar with the subsequent plot development of the Dragon Ball world. Not to mention 2,000 points of combat power, 20,000 points, 200,000 points, 2 million or even 20 million points, they are all scumbags. I don't know how long it will be before Frieza destroys planet Vegeta. I think I need to plan a good practice plan. Then, I need to improve my combat power a little more, not to the point of killing Frieza in seconds, as long as, enough to allow me to escape from this planet Vegeta and have the ability to protect myself on other planets. There was a strange light in Zhang Yang's eyes. 7 days later. In a small cave southeast of planet Vegeta. At this moment, Zhang Yang looked at the many training equipment in the cave, with a look of satisfaction on his face. Start retreat. My talent shouldn't be particularly bad, otherwise I wouldn't be able to have 1,000 combat power at the age of 10. Zhang Yang muttered softly, although he complained that as a traveler, he didn't have cheats or systems in the novels he read in his previous life, but since he didn't have one, then he certainly wouldn't force it, and he wouldn't just wait quietly for the day when planet Vegeta perishes. Arrival. Being able to travel to one of his favorite anime in his previous life, he believed that there must be a will in the dark, so, he must not be able to wait for the day when planet Vegeta perishes with peace of mind. Follow this group of Saiyan to die together. Since there is no so-called system, Golden Finger, then he has to rely on his own efforts to control his own destiny. Ding! Congratulations to the host, successfully binding the retreat and strengthening system. At this moment, a voice similar to electronic mechanical synthesis suddenly sounded in Zhang Yang's mind. Kindness. Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback. The retreat and strengthening system has been activated. Please host the retreat as soon as possible, so as to get rich rewards. The electromechanical synthesis sound continued to ring in Zhang Yang's mind. Retreat and strengthen the system. Zhang Yang muttered something in a low voice, and then a look of extreme shock appeared on his face. Then, he couldn't help but swear, and then his face showed excitement again. Good guy. The system that is standard for travelers has actually come. Sure enough, in response to a word, the system may be late, but it is absolutely impossible not to. Hello, system, do you mean that I only need to retreat to get rich rewards? Zhang Yang sat down on a small stone bench in the cave and asked in a low voice. Yes, and the host only needs to communicate with the system mind. The system replied. The host can get a generous reward from the system after a certain time point of retreat. What's in the reward, comma? Zhang Yang's eyes flickered for a moment, and he asked. Combat power, skills, items, and even extremely powerful bloodlines may be rewarded. The system continued. I understand, retreat. Zhang Yang suddenly got up from the stone bench, and then prepared to start practicing in the cave. Host, the system has sent a retreat novice gift package, which has a gravity room with unlimited multiples as a venue for retreat. The sound of the system rang again in Zhang Yang's mind. Gravity chamber with unlimited multiples. Hearing the words of the system, Zhang Yang's face suddenly revealed a look of surprise. Isn't it that he can easily control the gravity chamber to become the limit of gravity he can bear, so as to quickly increase his combat power? Boom! Immediately, Zhang Yang sank into the small space that comes with the system, and took out the gravity chamber with unlimited multiples in the novice gift package. Without thinking, Zhang Yang directly stepped into this gravity chamber with unlimited multiples. Thump! The moment he stepped in, his whole body fell to the ground. This at least must have 30 times the gravity. Zhang Yang was shocked. This is horrible. With only 30 times the gravity, it was able to crush him, who had 1000 combat power, lying on the ground and unable to get up. The host just couldn't adapt for the first time. The sound of the system came. 2. Zhang Yang gritted his teeth and said, and then tried to get up from the ground with difficulty. But the gravity was so strong that he couldn't get up from the ground at all. Time passed by every minute and every second. Soon, 2 hours passed. For 2 hours, Zhang Yang struggled against the 30 times gravity in the gravity chamber. Now, he has got up from the ground. But he was still unable to take a step forward. Because, as he overcomes 30 times the gravity in the gravity chamber has reached an even more frightening 40 times. He was not overwhelmed to the ground again, which is already very good. Kekeki. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Yang raised his right foot with difficulty. He wanted to take a step. Whirring. Lifting his feet in the air a few centimeters above the ground, Zhang Yang was sweating profusely at the moment, panting heavily, and it seemed that 40 times the gravity made him extremely uncomfortable. Clatter. Just like that, Zhang Yang kept this action deadlocked for half an hour. Step. Finally stepped out. For this, Zhang Yang's face was full of excitement. This feeling of conquering the limit made him feel refreshed. However, as he took this step, a more violent gravitational force struck in vain. Thump! In an instant, Zhang Yang fell to the ground. Zhang Yang gave a loud shout. He understands that this is another increase in the multiples in the gravity chamber. To say the least, there must be as much as 50 times the gravity. In this way, Zhang Yang started his retreat practice journey in this gravity chamber with unlimited multiples. On the first day, it perfectly broke through 50 times the gravity. In the first month, it perfectly broke through 80 times the force of gravity. In the 6th month, it perfectly breaks through 100 times of gravity. Soon, a year passed, and Zhang Yang had perfectly broken through and adapted to the gravity of 150 times at this moment. IG 718 years. On planet Vegeta, in a small cave. An extremely energetic Zhang Yang slowly pushed open the door of the gravity room and walked out. His face was full of excitement. Host, Zhang Yang. Age, 11 years old. Bloodline, Saiyan. Combat power, 10,000 points. Skills, finger cannon, qigong cannon. Item, unlimited multiple gravity chamber. Zhang Yang called out his character attribute panel in a low voice, and the excitement on his face deepened a lot. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have successfully retreated for 1 year, and you will be rewarded 1 billion combat power points, fairy beans x 100. Collect the reward now or delay it. Just when Zhang Yang was excited that his combat power had increased from 1000 points to 10,000 points in just 1 year, system notifications sounded in his mind one after another. What? How much combat power has been rewarded? The first time he heard what the system said about the 1-year retreat reward, Zhang Yang was stunned on the spot. He really thought he heard it wrong just now. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have successfully retreated for 1 year, and you will be rewarded 1 billion combat power points, fairy beans x 100. Collect the reward now or delay it. The system beep sounded again. This time, Zhang Yang was sure that he heard right. 1 billion battle points. Yes, that's right. He retreated for a whole year, and his combat power increased from 1,000 points to 10,000 points. He was so excited that he was about to go to heaven. And now, the system actually gave him a reward for the first year of retreat, which was as high as 1 billion combat power points. This is Meow. He is still practicing dry hammer so hard in retreat. Master, retreat is retreat practice. At this time, the system reminded, otherwise, the retreat rewards may not be as rich as imagined. Hearing the reminder from the system, Zhang Yang smiled awkwardly, feeling a little embarrassed for his thoughts. To be honest, thinking about it carefully, this year's hard work in cultivation made him feel extremely fulfilled, and he didn't even notice that a year passed like that. The most important thing is that the kind of growth obtained in practice makes him extremely happy both physically and mentally. Claim your reward now. Zhang Yang stopped thinking and shouted in his heart. Boom! Moment. When he chose to receive the reward now, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly exploded from his body. At the same time, the heart of planet Vegeta. At this moment, in a palace. Russell, what happened? King Vegeta, who was sitting on a chair and working, saw some stones under his feet began to tremble, with a look of astonishment on his face. Not only that, King Vegeta also noticed that the chair he was sitting on was shaking, as if there was an earthquake. Immediately, King Vegeta frowned and slowly got up from the chair. Just when he was about to ask the guard what happened to the guard at the door, everything returned to calm. In this regard, King Vegeta frowned deeply again. Knock knock. At this time, the door was knocked. Come in. King Vegeta sat back on the chair and said calmly. Your Majesty, there is news that an extremely powerful energy came from an unknown direction just now. The shock just now may be due to this energy. The guard fell to his knees respectfully. Hearing the guard's words, King Vegeta narrowed his eyes immediately, thought for a while, and said in a deep voice, check carefully, is there any unknown secret on this planet? Yes. The guard respectfully said yes. In the small cave. At this moment, Zhang Yang has restrained all his aura. Terrible energy. Zhang Yang clenched his fists, feeling the surging energy in his body, his face showed shock. He can guarantee that if he wants to destroy planet Vegeta, it will only be in one thought. You know, he has a fighting power of a full billion. It still belongs to the first episode of Dragon Ball. With his 1 billion combat power, facing any boss in this time period is like an ant to him. I am Saiyan, which means. Zhang Yang's eyes flickered, he is a Saiyan, and now his combat power has reached a terrifying 1 billion points, so he will be able to transform into Super Saiyan 1. He is a man of action, and if he thinks of something, he will naturally choose to do it. Immediately, he walked out of the cave and flew into the sky. Drink. In the sky, Zhang Yang clenched his fists and let out a roar. As his roar swayed, a breath enough to destroy the world rose up from Zhang Yang. His combat power is enough to transform into Super Saiyan 1, and at the same time, he uses the method of transforming into Super Saiyan from the Dragon Ball Super period. At this moment, he concentrated all his energy on his back. Boom! When the energy gathered to a peak, an extremely bright and dazzling golden light suddenly burst out from all over his body. Blonde hair, green eyes. Super Saiyan 1, it's a matter of course. 50 times the combat power increase, at this moment I have 50 billion combat power points. What a terrifying power, this is the world of the strong. Zhang Yang clenched his fists, his face was full of excitement and couldn't be more excited. At the same time, in the heart of planet Vegeta, in a palace. Rumble. In the room where King Vegeta was, only a series of low-pitched roars could be heard, and then the objects in the entire room began to vibrate. What's going on? This time the vibration is much stronger than the last time. King Vegeta was taken aback and stood up abruptly from his chair. Knock knock. At this time, the door was knocked again. Soon, a guard with a sweaty face and a frightened face pushed the door open. "Your Majesty," someone saw an inexplicable burst of golden light in the sky. In the golden light, there seemed to be a blonde warrior with an extremely terrifying aura. At that time, the surrounding soldiers wanted to detect his combat power index, but, without exception, all their combat power detection glasses exploded. The guard prostrated himself on the ground and revealed an extremely shocking piece of news. "Nani?" Hearing the guard's words, the shock on King Vegeta's face deepened a lot. The combat power of a single person is able to blow up the combat power detection glasses. How terrifying is the combat power of this blonde warrior? Is this the native of planet Vegeta? Blonde warrior. King Vegeta started pacing on the spot. At this moment, he was sweating profusely, and his face was full of horror. He was extremely afraid that his Wangquan's status would be lost, and he was even more afraid that this extremely powerful blonde warrior would kill them all as invaders. "You go down first. Remember, once you have any news about this mysterious blonde warrior, you must report it immediately." King Vegeta pondered for a moment, and finally chose to take one step at a time. Their previous aggression didn't force this mysterious blonde warrior out. Logically speaking, they shouldn't attack them again, right? But he still understands the truth that one must plan for the worst in everything. Let's wait for the subordinates to collect some more information. Moreover, no matter how powerful he is only one person. When it is really a last resort, the whole group will attack him, no matter what, he can be killed. Quote. King Vegeta muttered inwardly. For Zhang Yang, after transforming into Super Saiyan 1, he originally wanted to try transforming into Super Saiyan 2 again, but after thinking about it, he chose to give up. Instead, he chose to return to the cave and continue to retreat practice up. He is clear about his future direction, which is to continue to grow in the retreat, and the system will give him generous retreat rewards. In this Dragon Ball world where strength is paramount, 50 billion points of combat power is nothing at all. After the midterm of Dragon Balls, I am afraid that we will have to enter a weak period, let alone the subsequent Dragon Ball Super period. While retreating, Zhang Yang muttered, "So, the most important thing right now is to grow up quickly. Not to mention reaching the combat power of angel level, the combat power of gods of destruction level is to reach the ultimate goal of freedom. Super combat power, as long as you don't get sick and die, you can definitely have the power to protect yourself." After muttering these words, Zhang Yang completely entered the state of closed-door practice. Time flies extremely fast. Year after year just passed by. In the second year, he acquired a skill. 10 times no side effects Kaioken. In the third year, it is still a skill, the advanced version of instant transmission. This skill has the ability to travel through universes and parallel time and space. Of course, the premise is that he has traveled to a certain universe, or a parallel time and space that only belongs to the world of Dragon Ball. In the fourth year, the flash time is 0.2 seconds. In the fifth year, Shenfan's peak strength. Sixth year, a gourmet house with no limits. Just like that, another 9 years passed. IG 727 years. At this moment, in a certain cave on planet Vegeta. Today is the 10th year since Zhang Yang traveled to the world of Dragon Ball. Host, Zhang Yang. Age, 20 years old. Bloodline, Saiyan. Combat power, Super Saiyan God Red Form Son Goku equal strength. Skills, flash time 0.2 seconds, 10 times Kaioken without side effects, advanced version of instant transmission. Items, unlimited multiple gravity room, unlimited gourmet house. Calling out his character attribute panel, Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly as he looked at his strength. To be honest, he was really surprised. In just 9 years, with his own hard work and the combat power rewarded by the system, his strength has reached the level of Super Saiyan God Red Son Goku. According to what Beerus said in the original book, this level has 60% of his power. But as for whether there is anyone who understands knows. Beerus, I definitely don't want to hit Son Goku and others too much. But, I also have to admit that the strength of Super Saiyan Red is definitely at the level of a first-class human powerhouse. Today is the 10th year of retreat. System, the reward for this retreat has not been given to me yet. Zhang Yang stopped thinking, and began to communicate with the system in his heart. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have successfully retreated for 10 years, and you will be rewarded, the first stage of Ultra Instinct, with a 10% chance of weakening attribute effects. Get it now or delay it. When the system's reward prompt sounded in his mind, Zhang Yang froze for a moment. He had heard of the realm of Ultra Instinct Mega, and the realm of Perfect Ultra Instinct. But, what the hell is this first phase Ultra Instinct? Get it now. Zhang Yang really wants to figure out what the first stage of Ultra Instinct is. Could it be that Ultra Instinct can be divided into several stages? Soon, Zhang Yang began to look at this so-called first stage Ultra Instinct. After a while, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. Ultra Instinct is divided into 3 stages in the system. The first stage, Ultra Instinct, is equivalent to the realm of Zhongzhou in the original book. The second stage, Ultra Instinct, is the realm of Perfect Ultra Instinct. As for the third stage of Ultra Instinct, it is the realm of completely controlling this realm, being able to give advice to people, so that someone can successfully control the realm of Ultra Instinct signs. It's a bit of a cow. To be honest, Zhang Yang thinks that the third stage of Ultra Instinct is really awesome. After all, even an angel at the level of Whis can do it. But, he can't make people 100% control the realm of Ultra Instinct. And what about Zhang Yang? In the future, when he enters the third stage of Ultra Instinct, then he will be able to create a strong man with the realm of Ultra Instinct sign on a large scale. Certainly, just because he will be able to, doesn't mean that he really chooses to create a strong man with the Ultra Instinct sign on a large scale. Next, Zhang Yang gave himself a 2-day vacation to relax, and then continued to practice in seclusion. Spring goes and autumn comes, and 8 years have passed like this. A certain day in IG 735, Zhang Yang slowly walked out of the gravity chamber with unlimited multiples. At this moment, his face was full of joy. Host, Zhang Yang. Bloodline, Saiyan, combat power, beyond the Ultra Instinct space. Skills, flash time of 0.5 seconds, Kaioken without side effects 10 times, advanced version of instant transmission, 20% chance to kill attribute effects, 20% chance to weaken attribute effects, the second stage Ultra Instinct. Items, unlimited multiple gravity room, unlimited food house, Shondo 999+. Calling out his character attribute panel, the joyful expression on Zhang Yang's face deepened a little. Not bad, not bad. Another 8 years have passed, and now my strength has surpassed that of Ultra Instinct Kong. Zhang Yang couldn't help admiring. Don't think that his strength beyond Ultra Instinct is not strong enough. You must know that Ultra Instinct and Jiren are definitely the strongest standard line of combat power under Gods of Destruction. And his strength beyond Ultra Instinct, in a certain way, it is definitely a half-step Gods of Destruction level combat power. Now, when I encounter Gods of Destruction Beerus in the 7th universe, as long as I don't get sick and force myself to die, then there will never be a fall. Zhang Yang let out a long sigh of relief. It has been 18 years since he traveled to the world of Dragon Ball. He finally thinks he really has some power to protect himself. Moreover, he owns a gourmet restaurant with countless delicacies. Based on his knowledge of the 7th universe Gods of Destruction Beerus and Angel Whis, it is naturally impossible to provoke these two people. Even, Zhang Yang grinned. He has absolute confidence and makes Beerus and Whis his culinary captives. Meanwhile, outside of planet Vegeta. At this moment, Beerus and Whis are slowly flying into planet Vegeta. Master Beerus, this is the planet where Saiyan lives, planet Vegeta. Whis introduced behind Beerus with a smile. Beerus nodded. Suddenly, as if he had sensed something, he glanced towards the southeast of planet Vegeta, his eyes flickered for a while, and his eyes gradually narrowed. Whis. Beerus gave a low cry. Here it is, Master Beerus. Whis smiled and followed Beerus' gaze towards the southeast direction of planet Vegeta, and nodded in response. It seems, there is a very interesting guy. Beerus murmured. Yes, it seems, is a little guy who can be called a phenomenal human powerhouse. Whis nodded approvingly. It's weird, is there such a powerful guy in this Saiyan? Beerus suddenly became curious, and immediately flew towards the southeast of planet Vegeta. Whis smiled slightly, and followed closely behind Beerus. Oh, at this moment, in a small cave in the southeast direction of planet Vegeta, Zhang Yang, who was about to enter the gravity chamber with unlimited multiples to continue his practice, suddenly frowned. He walked out of the cave slowly, and then looked into the distance, with a look of astonishment on his face. If he hadn't noticed the mistake, then, he did sense an extremely terrifying moment just now. Do not. To be precise, it should be two extremely terrifying auras flying towards him. The aura that I find terrifying, in this 7th universe, and in this time period, there are probably only Beerus and Whis. Zhang Yang recalled, the original Dragon Ball Super period, through Vegeta's memories, Beerus and Whis came to planet Vegeta once when he was very young. Today, I'm afraid it's the day Beerus and Whis come to planet Vegeta to enjoy delicious food. Now, outside the cave where Zhang Yang was, he stood upright and looked into the distance. But at the moment of breathing, two piercing sounds sounded. Coming. It really is them. Zhang Yang looked at the two very familiar people in the sky, with a look of surprise on his face. Call out. Call out. When Zhang Yang looked at Beerus and Whis who suddenly appeared in the sky, the figures of the two flashed in vain, and then appeared behind him. Bang. Beerus' voice sounded. According to logic, you are already dead. Ha ha. Whis' chuckle followed, apparently amused by Beerus' mischief. Facing Beerus' fright, Zhang Yang turned around indifferently, smiled slightly, and said, Lord Gods of Destruction Beerus, hello. Oh, you actually know me. Facing Zhang Yang's indifference, Beerus was a little surprised. What was even more surprising was that he didn't expect that this seemingly uncomplicated little guy in front of him would know him. Zhang Yang smiled without saying a word. You are Saiyan. Beerus stared at Zhang Yang curiously, and asked in surprise. In his impression, the potential of this race is not so high. Yes. Zhang Yang nodded. Interesting. Beerus laughed, then waved his hand and said, Boy, it seems that you should be the ruler of the Saiyan clan. The purpose of my coming to this planet today is very simple. Prepare some delicious food for me. Zhang Yang's strength is extraordinary, but it is only considered extraordinary among human beings. He can be called a phenomenal human master. But, in the eyes of a super powerful gods of destruction like Beerus, they are at best a somewhat powerful human being. Wanting to kill him is just a snap of the fingers. Master Beerus, I am not the ruler of the Saiyan clan, but... Zhang Yang's eyeballs rolled around, and he said with a smile, if you want to eat delicious food, you can have a meal with me. Beerus's legs are quite thick in the world of Dragon Ball, let alone Angel Whis who is also passionate about food. Although Dragon Ball is a fighting anime, it is strictly hierarchical and has a little relationship, which is much better than no relationship at all. And, from the standpoint of being a Dragon Ball fan, Zhang Yang's impression of gods of destruction Beerus and Angel Whis is not to mention how good it is. It can be said that none of the more than 90% Dragon Ball fans hate gods of destruction Beerus and Angel Whis. Moreover, in his previous life, he thought more than once when revisiting the Dragon Ball Super, what kind of expression Beerus would have if he tasted his Dawaxia cuisine. Now, this idea can be realized, and he is really looking forward to it. Because, the delicacies in the unlimited gourmet house he owns are more of the delicacies of his previous life in Great China. So, you are very confident in the delicious food you are about to present. Beerus looked at Zhang Yang's confident expression that couldn't be more confident, his eyes could not help flickering, and then his face showed a look of expectation, and he said, Boy, you know me, you should know some of my temper. If the taste is not as good as I expected, then, he. Beerus didn't speak, but anyone could understand the meaning. Zhang Yang naturally understood, smiled lightly and said, Don't worry, if Master Beerus is not satisfied with this meal, just destroy this planet Vegeta. He is very confident in the food of Great China. As for whether Beerus will be displeased with his current confident appearance, he will deliberately say that he has not met his expectations in the follow-up, thus venting his anger on him. He felt that the gods of destruction Champa of the 6th universe might be such a person, and with Beerus' character, he still wouldn't do this. Next, Zhang Yang led Beerus and Whis into the cave. A round table and 3 stools were taken out of the system space by Zhang Yang, and then Beerus sat down calmly. Food. Saiyan. As soon as he sat down, Beerus couldn't wait any longer. He wanted to see why Zhang Yang was so confident. Seeing Beerus' impatient look, Zhang Yang couldn't help laughing. This guy is really just like the original book, he loves food like his life. As the saying goes, if you want to grab a man, you have to grab his stomach. And such an old saying is also very suitable for a big foodie like Beerus. Immediately, Zhang Yang didn't hold back, wasting time, and directly took out a few Chinese delicacies from the gourmet restaurant. There are 5 dishes in total. When these 5 delicacies appeared on the table, the aroma instantly spread throughout the cave. Kindness. In an instant, whether it was Beerus or Whis, their eyes widened a little at this moment, and a little stunned expression appeared on their faces. Because the two who are used to eating delicacies from various planets in the Dragon Ball World's 7th universe unexpectedly smelled this peculiar fragrance for the first time. That's right, for Beerus and Whis, Zhang Yang's food aroma is very peculiar. Because this is Sichuan cuisine. Sichuan cuisine is naturally not that unfamiliar to Chinese people, and the first impression is that it will be very numbing and spicy. Zhang Yang is the one who brought it out, and he has eaten it, so he naturally understands the taste of Sichuan cuisine. The prototype of gods of destruction Beerus is a cat. What would it be like for a cat in another world to eat spicy food? Zhang Yang raised such a thought, and couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth, revealing a little expectant smile. While Zhang Yang was thinking about it, at this moment, Beerus and Whis couldn't help but glance at each other. The anticipation in the eyes of the two was obvious. Gudong. There was a sound of swallowing saliva. Immediately, Beerus made a move. A pair of chopsticks was in front of the table. Although he saw chopsticks for the first time, it didn't affect his ability to use them. Picking up the chopsticks, he set his sights on the first Sichuan dish. This is a small pot of steaming food called maoshuiwang. Maoshuiwang is a famous Sichuan dish. The hairy belly inside is crispy and can absorb the taste of juice. It is served with duck blood, bean sprouts and other ingredients. Under the background of bright red peppers and a puddle of hot oil, it tastes spicy and crispy. Cool. Basically, this hot and spicy maoshuiwang is also a classic delicacy that is indispensable in any Sichuan restaurant. Beerus completely moved his chopsticks. He picked up a small piece of duck blood with chopsticks and put it in his mouth. Ha-chi-chi. When the small piece of duck blood entered his mouth, Beerus took a deep breath instantly, and then he chewed, and his eyes widened in vain at this moment. A second later, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. And his originally purple skin turned red at this moment. Hiss. A gasping sound sounded in the cave, and Zhang Yang, who was still thinking about what Beerus looked like after eating, attracted the attention of Zhang Yang. Puff. When Zhang Yang looked over and saw that his entire face was flushed and tiny beads of sweat appeared on his forehead, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. Master Beerus, what's wrong with you? Whis also noticed Beerus's expression at this time, and seeing the uncomfortable and strange expression on his face, he thought that maoshuiwang was not delicious, so he immediately asked, could it be, this delicacy has a fragrance, taste isn't it good? As he spoke, he slowly shifted his gaze to maoshuiwang, a delicacy, with doubts in his eyes. He has been following Beerus for so many years, and to be honest, he has eaten countless delicacies in the 7th universe. Today's novel delicacy has a particularly peculiar aroma. Although he has not tasted it, in his opinion, the taste should not be too bad. But now, Beerus's expression made him suspicious. Wei, Whis, hiss, you, eat, hiss, take a bite, and you'll know. Beerus had to gasp when he said these 2 words. Obviously, it was his first time eating Sichuan cuisine and he couldn't stand the spicy and numbing taste experience. Although, he thinks this delicacy is very delicious. But it was so tortuous. Hearing what Beerus said, Whis blinked his eyes, then picked up the chopsticks on the table, and took a small piece of hair belly into his mouth. The moment Madhu entered, Whis' eyes widened. My God! Immediately, the exclamation of Whis resounded in the cave. Immediately after, under the dumbfounded gazes of Zhang Yang and Beerus, Whis moved his chopsticks violently. A bit, eat a small piece of duck blood. A bit, eat a handful of bean sprouts. But in a short while, this hairy blood was wiped out by Whis alone. Wei, Whis, you are a little too aggressive, right? After Whis wiped out this delicacy, Beerus spit out this sentence with his eyes wide open. Beerus, sizzle, my lord, this delicacy, sizzle. It's really different from the food we've had, Sizzle. It's not the same. Quote. Whis fanned his mouth with his hand, and kept talking while gasping. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yang laughed softly on the side. Authentic Sichuan cuisine is spicy and numbing. Like Beerus and Whis from another world, I have never eaten food with a similar taste. It is definitely painful and happy to eat for the first time. At first, Zhang Yang thought that a big foodie like Beerus would be able to bear it, but he didn't expect that it was Whis who endured the first delicacy. This taste is indeed something we haven't experienced in so many years. Hey, Whis, who told you to eat all of such a delicacy? It's really disgusting. I want to eat a delicacy alone. Beerus was sweating profusely and nodded in approval, then scooped up Mao Shuiwang with his chopsticks, but found that there was nothing else except the soup and chili, which made him immediately focus on the second on top of gourmet food. The second delicacy is called saliva chicken. This delicacy is not a simple cold chicken. Instead, the high-quality native chicken is made into white-cut chicken, then poured with carefully refined chili oil and sauce, and finally sprinkled with sesame seeds or crushed peanuts on the top. The taste is very unique, delicious and spicy. Although the method is simple but very delicious. Beerus took out a piece of chicken with his chopsticks, and slowly put it into his mouth. With the previous spicy feeling, this time he chewed very hesitantly. But, although there is some spicy feeling, it is far from the intensity of the previous delicacy. In other words, the spiciness was just right. At this moment, his eyes widened, and an obsessed expression appeared on his face. So delicious. My God, too delicious. Beerus Biaji raised his mouth and began to gulp down the chicken in his mouth, and then started to move his chopsticks violently. But, after he finished eating the whole plate of slobbering chicken, Beerus seemed to be belatedly recalling it, and he was horrified to find that his mouth had lost consciousness at this moment. Should say, apart from numbness, there is no other perception. Dead. Beerus stared at the 3 remaining delicacies on the table, and exclaimed, how dare I move my mouth for the remaining few delicacies? After only tasting 2 Sichuan cuisines, Beerus felt hesitant to continue eating the rest of the dishes for the first time. Master Beerus, if you don't continue, then I won't be polite. When Beerus hesitated, Whis swallowed his saliva and said this sentence. Hearing this, Beerus frowned slightly, then stopped hesitating and started talking again. Zhang Yang on the side shook his head and smiled, looking at Whis who couldn't help but move his mouth. He couldn't help but feel relaxed and completely grasped the 2 guys standing at the top of the 7th universe pyramid. Think about it too. Instant noodles on the earth are delicious food for Beerus and Whis, not to mention the extremely delicious Chinese food with varied flavors. About 15 minutes or so. Beerus and Whis stopped their chopsticks, although the 2 were sweating profusely and screamed with a hot huchi-huchi, their faces were full of enjoyment. Obviously, there is only one word that can describe the situation of the 2 of them at this moment. That is, pain and happiness. Hoo-hoo. Beerus panted heavily, wiped the sweat off his forehead with his hand, slapped his mouth with the other hand, and then stammered, speaking seriously, this delicious food, and it really gave me an unforgettable taste experience. Beerus, my lord, I have to say, this is the 7th universe. No, it is in all universes. I am afraid that the food we ate today can rank top 3. Although Whis was also panting heavily, it didn't look as serious as Beerus, and at this moment he said such a sentence with great emotion. Beerus was so hot that he didn't want to talk at all, and could only nod in agreement. I think these delicacies should be very suitable for the taste of the 2 of you. Zhang Yang spoke at this moment. Very satisfied. Beerus glanced at Zhang Yang, his eyes were full of amazement, and he said, little guy, are these delicacies from your hands? Yes. Zhang Yang smiled slightly. In the entire Dragon Ball world, I am afraid that he is the only one who can produce Chinese delicacies. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with his answer like this. Hearing Zhang Yang's answer, Beerus and Whis looked at each other. Little guy, can you tell us your name? Whis asked with a smile. Zhang Yang. Zhang Yang smiled slightly, showing a very indifferent expression. Zhang Yang. Whis smiled slightly, looked at Zhang Yang very sincerely and said, excuse me, would you like to follow Lord Beerus to the 7th universe gods of destruction as a guest for a while? Just now the 2 looked at each other, without any communication. Whis knew exactly what Beerus was thinking. Hearing Whis' invitation, Zhang Yang's eyes flickered, and his brows frowned slightly. To be honest, he really wanted to spend some time in the world of gods of destruction in the 7th universe. You know, Beerus, known as the strongest among gods of destruction, was taught by Whis. It can be seen from this that if he can get some guidance from Whis during the time in the 7th universe gods of destruction, let alone how much he can grow. According to his strength at the same level as Ultra Instinct Goku, I am afraid that after being instructed by Whis, he will definitely be able to quickly surpass the level of Ultra Instinct Goku, and even reach the level of ordinary gods of destruction. That's the gods of destruction level. Standing in every universe, besides Angel, the most terrifying combat force. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang's heart suddenly became hot. But, Zhang Yang took a deep breath, and he had another doubt. That is, whether the location of his retreat practice is not fixed. If he really wasn't fixed, then he could accept Whis' invitation. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang hurriedly asked in his heart, is the system in place? Quote. There was a silence. There should be no fixed place for retreat practice, right? Although Zhang Yang had some guesses in his heart, he still didn't dare to make it clear. Yes. After Zhang Yang waited for a few seconds, the sound of the system suddenly rang in his mind. I understand. A smile appeared on Zhang Yang's face, and then he bowed lightly to Beerus and Whis, and a voice rang out in the cave. It is my honor to be a guest in the world of gods of destruction. Zhang Yang, where is this kid? It's really disgusting. Today is the day we promised to cook. ... After a month. At this moment, Beerus' voice resounded in the 7th universe gods of destruction world. Really? That's noisy enough. In a hut, Zhang Yang, who had just escaped from the cultivation state, was speechless. His figure flickered for a moment, and then appeared in front of Beerus and Whis. Zhang Yang. As soon as Zhang Yang appeared, Beerus immediately jumped up excitedly. For him, this guy's delicious food is like a fatal temptation, like poison. Quick. Seeing Beerus' impatient look, Zhang Yang couldn't help shaking his head and laughing. In his opinion, Beerus is so easy to handle. Master Beerus, don't worry, the food is ready, you can enjoy the food first. Zhang Yang smiled slightly, took out several delicacies from the gourmet room, then set his sights on Whis, who was chuckling aside, and said, Mr. Whis, I have improved in my practice recently, I can ask you for advice. Oh, Whis frowned slightly when he heard Zhang Yang's initiative to ask for advice. To be honest, he is also very interested in Zhang Yang, a phenomenal master among human beings. After all, a master of this strength has never appeared in the 7th universe. Not only the 7th universe, existences like phenomenal human masters are rare in the entire universe. Just right, let me enjoy the food while enjoying the battle. Beerus's eyes were shining brightly on the side. He is a militant himself. If it was not more important to enjoy the food, he would probably choose to go on stage to compete with the kid Zhang Yang. Please. Seeing that Whis didn't refuse, Zhang Yang immediately flew to the side of the open space. In response, Whis smiled slightly and followed closely behind. Soon, the two stood facing each other, and neither of them took the lead. Rustling. At this time, a breeze blew slightly, and some dust and flying sand on the land of gods of destruction began to hover. Call out. Sudden. Zhang Yang moved. Like a phantom, his body arrived in front of Whis in an instant. Boom. Oh, a muffled crash sounded in the arena. Seeing this scene, Beerus, who was feasting on Chinese delicacies, squinted and frowned. Not only that, but the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and there was even a funny look on his face. To be honest, just relying on Zhang Yang's initiative to attack, Beerus has a great fighting interest in this phenomenal human kid. Zhang Yang, your shot is very decisive, and your strength is also very strong. Field. Whis' voice sounded. Drink. Facing Whis' comments, Zhang Yang smiled lightly, raised his hand and yelled for a moment, and then punched out again. Boom. Facing Zhang Yang's punching attack, Whis appeared extremely indifferent, and just took a small step back, and lightly tapped his fist with the angel staff in his hand. Boom. In an instant, Zhang Yang flew upside down. He. Seeing this scene, Beerus, who was eating delicious food, laughed a few times. But, soon his laughter stopped abruptly, and his eyes widened in an instant. Nani. Not only Beerus exclaimed, but Whis in the field also exclaimed. At this moment, Zhang Yang, who was supposed to fly upside down, suddenly appeared behind Whis and then punched out violently. This speed and the speed of the reversal, even Whis didn't react immediately. It turned out that it was because of Zhang Yang's punch that he took several steps back. It's interesting. Whis looked at Zhang Yang with a little surprise on his face. The strength of phenomenal human powerhouses really cannot be underestimated. Mr. Whis, I'm about to show my true combat power. Please be careful. Zhang Yang clasped his hands together, then bowed deeply to Whis, then raised his body at this moment and let out a loud shout while transforming into the red form of Super Saiyan God. Nani. When Zhang Yang transformed into the red form of Super Saiyan God, Beerus, who was eating delicious food, stopped enjoying the food instantly, staring at Zhang Yang's jaw almost dropped in shock. Because, at this moment, Zhang Yang's aura has undergone a huge change. At this moment, he is no longer the aura of a weak human being, but the aura of a god. It can be said that in terms of the quality of the divine breath, Zhang Yang today is the same quality as his gods of destruction divine breath. It's amazing. Whis looked at Zhang Yang in the red form of Super Saiyan God with a little surprise on his face. Zhang Yang, your Saiyan can transform. Facing Whis' surprised gaze and tone, Zhang Yang smiled slightly and said, that's right. This is the red form of Super Saiyan God, and it can be regarded as stepping into the realm of God. Zhang Yang in this form can only be regarded as stepping into the realm of gods. Although the breath is already the breath of gods, his actual strength does not mean he has truly stepped into the realm of gods. Therefore, he can only humbly say that he has stepped into the realm of gods. It's not easy, it's not easy. Whis sighed in admiration from the bottom of his heart. Stepping into the realm of the gods with a human body was also a very shocking thing for Whis. Super Saiyan God Red. On the other side, Beerus, who was a little shocked, was a little stunned when he heard Zhang Yang's words. Because, he felt that the Super Saiyan God that Zhang Yang said seemed a bit familiar. Heard the same. However, this kid really gave me an unexpected surprise. Beerus looked at Zhang Yang with a strange gleam in his eyes. At this moment, he became very interested in fighting this supposedly weak Saiyan. Boom. At this moment, the battle on the field started again. The strength of Zhang Yang in the red form of Super Saiyan God is extraordinary. Compared with Son Goku in the red form of Super Saiyan God in the original Dragon Ball, it is more than a little bit stronger. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of fierce collisions continued to resound in the arena, and the entire land of gods of destruction was shaken by the aftermath of the battle between the two, flying sand and rolling stones, and the scene looked extremely shocking. But in a short while, the battle between Zhang Yang and Whis was coming to an end. It's not that Zhang Yang's strength has entered a period of weakness, but that he understands that if he continues to fight Whis like this, he won't get much experience. Because the level of Whis is much higher than what he is now. Boom, boom. After another pair of fists separated, Zhang Yang returned to his normal appearance and grinned. Mr. Whis' strength is really vast, I am not an opponent. Your strength is also very powerful, and Whis smiled back and praised, and while talking, there was a strange gleam in his eyes, if he hadn't sensed a mistake just now. This little guy, Zhang Yang, probably controls the Ultra Instinct. Although, the Ultra Instinct this little guy handles may not be in perfect shape. But, its background strength is definitely the top level among phenomenal human powerhouses. It can even be said that this little guy may be the first person under the gods of destruction level combat power after all his cards are revealed. Whis himself was a little surprised at the subconscious evaluation of Zhang Yang. In the entire big universe, but I don't know how long it has been since such a master appeared. And this master is still a human being. Whis was secretly surprised even more. Hey, Zhang Yang. At this moment, Beerus suddenly yelled. Zhang Yang heard Beerus' voice, and when he turned his gaze to his side, and saw this guy looking at him with a fiery face, his face showed a little the color of emotion. To be honest, as a loyal fan of the Dragon Ball anime, his understanding of Beerus is naturally very deep. Proud, fighting maniac, foodie. Now, seeing Beerus in his Super Saiyan God Red form, he is definitely motivated to fight him. Otherwise, it is absolutely impossible to stare at him like this. Master Beerus wants to fight with me. Zhang Yang spoke first. Yes, Beerus put down the delicious food and nodded excitedly. At this moment, the temptation of delicious food to him is far less than that of a fight with Zhang Yang. And he always felt that what Zhang Yang said just now, Super Saiyan God, was somewhat familiar, as if he had heard it from someone. Hearing what Beerus said, Zhang Yang smiled, and to be honest, he was also a little moved. You know, this is Beerus, one of the most popular gods of destruction in the world of Dragon Ball. At the same time, it is also the most powerful gods of destruction among the 12 universes. And, as a Dragon Ball fan, he has endless curiosity about how powerful gods of destruction Beerus is. After all, it is said in the original book that the strength of Son Goku in the red form of Super Saiyan God can reach 60% of that of Beerus. But, seriously, no Dragon Ball fan would think that Son Goku in Super Saiyan God's red form can reach the level of 60% of Beerus' strength. You know, not to mention the blue form of Super Saiyan God, in the comics, even Vegeta, who is fully armed with dark blue firepower, can be knocked down in front of Beerus with just a slap. So, Zhang Yang, who has now traveled to the world of Dragon Ball, naturally has the desire to know what level Beerus's real combat power is. Master Beerus, please. Zhang Yang's expression instantly became solemn. Previous encounters with Whis were just appetizers. After all, the gap between the two is too great. But Beerus's strength is also extremely terrifying. But, at least not compared to Whis. One can confirm the strength of Beerus. Second, you can test your current strength. The best of both worlds. Zhang Yang is so excited right now. Chapter 11. In the Realm of Gods of Destruction. Now, Zhang Yang and Beerus looked at each other. Come on, Zhang Yang boy. Beerus hooked his fingers at Zhang Yang, his face full of indifference. However, his eyes were full of excitement. Zhang Yang could see this point coming. Zhang Yang clasped his hands together and bowed. Call out. At this moment, he moved in vain, and arrived in front of Beerus in an instant. Boom. Thunder punched out. Boom. Boom. Facing Zhang Yang's punch, Beerus raised his hand and blasted out with the same punch. Thump thump. After the two punched each other, they each retreated more than 10 steps. Good. Beerus felt his slightly numb right hand, and a look of amazement appeared on his face. He had forgotten how long he hadn't experienced this feeling. Facing Beerus' exclamation, Zhang Yang smiled slightly. At this moment, his right hand was also numb for a while. Although Beerus' strength was not used to the maximum, it was still not to be underestimated. Boom. Zhang Yang set off again. His speed is very fast. Even though he has not transformed his form at this moment, his strength is still extremely terrifying. Drink. Ah da da da. The normal Zhang Yang started to fight with Beerus. The two seemed to be evenly matched, but Whis, who was watching the show, understood. Neither Zhang Yang nor Beerus used more powerful power. Today's two people are only relying on the strength of their bodies to play games. That's it, the battle between the two is also very exciting. You punch me hard. Boom. Drink. It was another punch to bang, and Zhang Yang let out a loud shout and immediately transformed into a Super Saiyan blue color form. At this moment, his strength has skyrocketed to an extreme, and he has completely become the first person under the gods of destruction level of combat power. Nani. When Zhang Yang's Super Saiyan blue form appeared, Beerus in the field showed a look of shock. Compared with the aura of the red form of Super Saiyan God before, Zhang Yang at this moment has gone much deeper on the road to the realm of the gods. It can be seen that the potential of this Saiyan boy named Zhang Yang is really terrifying. Saiyan, to be able to grow to this point. The potential is really terrifying. Whis on the side looked at Zhang Yang, secretly surprised. Do not. Whis thought for a second, maybe it wasn't the race of Saiyan that was scary. Instead, the man Zhang Yang. Drink. Boom. Rumble. On the field, the battle between Zhang Yang and Beerus started thoroughly. Although the strengths of the two have their own reservations, the strength and destructive power displayed now are enough to destroy the world. Fierce explosions and roars continued to resound in the gods of destruction world, the ground trembled, and cracks appeared one after another, and as the battle between the two continued, the entire land in the gods of destruction world truly broke apart. At this moment, even Whis watched the battle from the sky. Cool. In the field, Beerus roared excitedly. Boom. At this moment, Zhang Yang struck with a fist, and the fist carried a silver-white radiance. This punch has the rudimentary form of extreme intention. When Zhang Yang's punch appeared, both Beerus, who was in the center, and Whis, who was watching from the side, all showed shock on their faces. Boom! While Beerus was distracted and shocked in the field, Zhang Yang's fist had already arrived and hit his chest firmly. Moment. I saw Beerus flying upside down, and finally rolled a dozen times in the sky before stabilizing his body. Clap. Beerus, who stabilized his body, looked gloomy for a moment, and then changed into a look of admiration. Although he suffered a small loss at the hands of a Saiyan, which made him a little unhappy, Beerus still felt that this battle made him very happy. Very good. Beerus looked at Zhang Yang approvingly, and said bluntly, I seem to remember something. I remember Super Saiyan God. The prophecy fish said that there will be my rival in the future. The name of this rival, it seems to be called Super Saiyan God. Kindness. Hearing what Beerus said, Zhang Yang showed a little astonishment on his face. Beerus as the guy's dream rival, Super Saiyan God. No. Zhang Yang shook his head. He felt that Super Saiyan God, the rival in Beerus' dream, was absolutely impossible to be him. Immediately, Zhang Yang said, Master Beerus, Super Saiyan God is not a person, but a transformed form. Oh, hearing Zhang Yang's words, Beerus frowned, and said in surprise, so, there are people in the 7th universe who can transform into the form of this Super Saiyan God. Yes, Zhang Yang nodded, but, there is still one thing he didn't say in the follow-up, that is, the 2 guys who can transform into the form of Super Saiyan God have not yet grown up. Oh, it's interesting. Beerus took a deep look at Zhang Yang, and said, the punch just now carried the prototype of ultimate intent. You boy. You are really a freak. Hearing this, Zhang Yang smiled without saying a word. The prototype of Ultra Instinct is naturally the prototype of Ultra Instinct. But in fact, now he has controlled the 2nd stage Ultra Instinct, that is to say, he has completely controlled the perfect Ultra Instinct. Really showing the perfect Ultra Instinct, Zhang Yang thought that even if he didn't enter the real Gods of Destruction level combat power standard, it was at least infinitely close to the Gods of Destruction level combat power standard. 3 months passed quickly. This day, at the moment, above planet Vegeta, Zhang Yang once again returned to his previous retreat cave. When Zhang Yang returned to the cave, he frowned suddenly. Because it is suspected that someone has come to his retreat. At this moment, the entire cave is in a mess, and it looks dirty. It should have been done by Saiyan on planet Vegeta. Zhang Yang frowned even tighter, and a bright light flashed in his eyes. These guys actually found his place of retreat, and it seems that they have conducted a large-scale search. Zhang Yang was naturally extremely unhappy about this. But, thinking that guy Frieza would destroy planet Vegeta soon, his frowning brows suddenly relaxed a little. There is no need to care about a group of dying people. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang couldn't help but smile coldly. He was too lazy to do a general cleaning, so he just took out the unlimited multiplier gravity room, and set a time for exiting, and then started a long period of retreat. Meanwhile, the central area of planet Vegeta. At this moment, in a palace. On the first seat, a man was looking gloomily at several young Saiyans kneeling below. The hidden dangers on planet Vegeta haven't been completely cleared away yet. Unexpectedly, there is another Frieza with wolf ambitions. Our Saiyan clan really has enough internal and external troubles. The man in the first seat was none other than King Vegeta, speaking with a somber face. For him, the blonde warrior hidden in planet Vegeta is definitely not an ordinary person, and may even be an aborigine on the previous planet. My lord, I have a great idea. Saiyan, a young man who was kneeling suddenly raised his head and said. Tell me the story. King Vegeta narrowed his eyes slightly. It's better to let the internal and external troubles be solved by ourselves, so that we stand in the middle and reap the benefits of the fishermen safely. Isn't that a very perfect thing? The young Saiyan proposed with excitement in his eyes. Oh, hearing this proposal, King Vegeta's eyes lit up in vain, as if he had seen hope, and his whole body became energetic in an instant. He clapped his hands and exclaimed, this proposal is very good. Thank you, Your Majesty, for the compliment. Young Saiyan showed joy on his face. Obviously, if this plan is successful, then he, the proposer, is absolutely indispensable, and he may not even become King Vegeta's right-hand man in the future. That's it. I didn't find any trace of the blonde soldier some time ago. I guess he must have gone out and hasn't returned yet. Let's wait and see what happens next." King Vegeta smiled lightly. At this moment, his face was full of planning, and he thought everything was under his control. After all, compared with them who have invaded this planet, Frieza is far less hateful than the more wolfish and ambitious Frieza. He believes that as long as he understands it with reason and emotion, that unknown blonde warrior will definitely become a gun for his Saiyan clan. Even if it can't help me defeat Frieza, that wolf-minded guy, at least it can hurt him a bit. So, I don't need to worry too much now. King Vegeta's eyes shone with excitement. The young man Saiyan's proposal had completely solved his recent troubles. Thinking of this, he couldn't help casting appreciative glances at Saiyan, a young man kneeling not far from him. Beautiful proposal, what a brilliant mind I have. Sensing King Vegeta's admiring gaze, the young Saiyan thought to himself, and an extremely excited expression appeared on his face. In this way, time passed day by day. Soon, IG 737, a day in April. After setting the alarm clock, Zhang Yang, who left the level on time, slowly walked out of the infinite multiple gravity room. At this moment, his face was full of excitement. Host, Zhang Yang. Bloodline, Saiyan, combat power, gods of destruction level combat power. Skills, flash time of 0.7 seconds, Kaioken without side effects 10 times, advanced version of instant transmission, 25% chance to kill attribute effects, 25% chance to weaken attribute effects, the second stage Ultra Instinct. Items, unlimited multiple gravity room, unlimited food house, Shondo 999+. As soon as he came out of the retreat, Zhang Yang called out his own character attribute panel and started to watch it. After reading it again, the smile on his face deepened a lot. A total of 20 years of retreat. Now his strength has finally reached the level of gods of destruction. But the only pity is that he did not rely on his own practice to achieve gods of destruction level combat power, but obtained gods of destruction level combat power in the 20th year of retreat rewards. If the retreat reward for the 20th year was not gods of destruction level combat power, he guessed that he should be a half-step gods of destruction level combat power. Don't think that there is not much difference between half-step gods of destruction level combat power and the real gods of destruction level combat power. It is only gods of destruction Champa of the 6th universe and gods of destruction Beerus of the 7th universe. According to the official combat power index, one is 9.9 and the other is 10. It is not difficult to see how terrifying the gap of 0.1 is. You know, Beerus is officially certified, the strongest gods of destruction among the 12 universe gods of destruction. With a value of only 0.1, he has the strength to beat the remaining 11 universe gods of destruction. It is conceivable how terrifying the gap between the non-gods of destruction level and the real gods of destruction level is. The current me should be only a preliminary gods of destruction level combat power. I'm still far behind Beerus, even compared to gods of destruction Champa of the 6th universe. I'm afraid it's a lot worse. Zhang Yang clenched his fist and murmured inwardly. But he believes that the day he surpasses Champa and Beerus is not too far away. But having said that, it seems to be the year of Eki 737, which is the year Son Goku and Broly were born. It is also the day when planet Vegeta was destroyed. Zhang Yang suddenly remembered something, and a little smile appeared on his face. With the destruction of planet Vegeta, the first episode of Dragon Ball will unfold. To be honest, after the destruction of planet Vegeta, he must go to Earth, because there are memories of his childhood in his previous life. Son Goku, Master Roshi, Bulma, and soon-to-be-seen Frieza. These classic characters are all jokes or memories of his childhood. Boom! Just as Zhang Yang was thinking about it, deafening engine sounds came from the sky. Coming, Zhang Yang looked up at the sky, and when he saw universe spaceships, his eyes flickered for a moment. At the same time, in the sky, in a universe spaceship, King Frieza, planet Vegeta has arrived. At this moment, a fat, ugly alien creature with pink skin and thorns on the top of its head and arms stood respectfully in front of Frieza, and said softly, King Vegeta has been calling for the return of Saiyan who has been out on missions for the past few days, and it seems that he has expected what will they face when they arrive. Oh ho ho ho. Frieza's iconic smile rang out in the spaceship, and then his voice continued, I hope they don't know more than they know what happened to them. As he spoke, he began to move around. He then set his sights on Dodoria, who bowed her head at his gaze. Just listen to Frieza's indifferent voice. Because, in this way, I can enjoy their panic-stricken cuteness. Oh ho 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 ho, it's really exciting just thinking about it. Yes yes yes. Dodoria lowered her head a little, and echoed aloud. ... Now, the central area of planet Vegeta. In a luxurious palace. King Vegeta stood in front of the Saiyans with a solemn face. That guy Frieza has arrived, but we still haven't found the blonde warrior hidden on planet Vegeta. King Vegeta frowned tightly, the expression on his face was not very good. Your Majesty, why not? A young Saiyan was about to propose something following King Vegeta's words. Boom. At this moment, the palace gate was suddenly pushed open. The sound of pushing the door made King Vegeta frown in vain, and then looked at the door with displeasure. Plop. My lord, a man came out of the cave where the blonde warrior lived before. Saiyan, who pushed the door open, knelt down in front of King Vegeta with a look of excitement. Oh, hearing this news, King Vegeta's frowning brows suddenly relaxed, and the displeasure on his face turned into joy in vain. Go, send me random people to deal with Frieza, and I'll meet the blonde warrior first. King Vegeta said immediately. When King Vegeta and other Saiyans took action. Now, for Zhang Yang, he has cleaned out the cave where he lived for many years. He was clean when he came, and he had to be clean when he left. After all, this was his former home. Walking out of the cave again, Zhang Yang's index finger and middle finger just touched his forehead. Although he has an advanced version of instant transmission, the Earth he is going to is still too far away from planet Vegeta, so he naturally needs to concentrate on sensing the coordinates of the Earth. As for why he knows the coordinates of the Earth, it is naturally because he asked Whis to help him search when he was in the 7th universe Gods of Destruction some time ago. Now, he closed his eyes and searched. Sudden. A burst of noise entered his ears, which made him frown slightly, and then slowly opened his eyes. Into the eyes. A large group of Saiyan is coming towards the level of the cave where he is. King Vegeta. Zhang Yang frowned when he saw the leader. He didn't quite understand why this guy led so many people to him at this point in time. Swish swish swish. But after a short while, King Vegeta landed on the flat ground outside the cave with a dozen of his men. When King Vegeta and the Saiyans landed on the flat ground, everyone turned their attention to Zhang Yang. When they saw the identity of his Saiyan, all of them frowned suddenly, and their faces showed a little the color of astonishment. The blonde warrior they've been dreading all these years. Could it be a Saiyan? Saiyan can have such a powerful aura. The person who was the most shocked and frightened was definitely King Vegeta. He couldn't understand how Saiyan could be so powerful. And that was the breath of many years ago. Now that all these years have passed, how terrifying is the strength of this blonde warrior. Unimaginable. It's unimaginable. Thinking of this. Cold sweat dripped down King Vegeta's back. Among the Saiyan clan. Such a terrifying Saiyan exists. He's a blonde warrior. At this moment, a young man, Saiyan, stood up and sneered, I know who this guy is. Barnes, who has disappeared for a long time, cannot be a blonde warrior at all. Barnes. King Vegeta was slightly taken aback. A lowly Saiyan fighter, how could he notice? Hearing what Saiyan, the young man beside him, said at this moment, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. But, just in case, King Vegeta wasn't talking too much. What if, this Barnes is the servant of the blonde warrior? Maybe, and it's not necessarily true that I can still talk. Thinking of this, King Vegeta showed a smirk on his face, and said, your name is Barnes, right? I think you should know the blonde warrior. Zhang Yang glanced at King Vegeta without saying a word. For Zhang Yang's ignorance, King Vegeta felt unhappy for a while, but for the sake of the overall situation, he didn't get angry, and continued to fake smile. It's like this, and now planet Vegeta has reached a critical moment. The enemy is now, the blonde warrior. I think he is also a powerful person who has lived on planet Vegeta for a long time. So, I want him to take action to drive away the enemy. Of course, naturally, the blonde warrior will not be killed in vain. Our Saiyan clan will regard him as a savior for the rest of our lives. Hearing King Vegeta's words, Zhang Yang's eyes flickered for a moment, and he glanced around at Saiyan present, and finally looked away, smiling indifferently. Burdock was nowhere to be seen in the group. He still wanted to see that man. Barnes, the king is talking to you. Are you deaf? Saiyan, the young man who recognized Zhang Yang's identity before, scolded loudly. Hearing the scolding, Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly, and then put his gaze on him. The latter was happy and fearless, and looked at him with a sneer. His breath was surging, and he looked like he was about to make a move. Regarding this, Zhang Yang just smiled indifferently, and slowly raised his finger. Boom! Call out! A golden light flickered. A finger cannon came out in response. Who? What? Screams rang out in the arena. Next second. Without waiting for everyone present to react, Zhang Yang's indifferent voice rang out in the arena. Planet Vegeta is destroyed, what does it have to do with me? Nani, this Barnes. Bold, how dare you kill someone in front of the king? Take it down. Take down this fool. When King Vegeta and others reacted, all the Saiyans immediately clamored. Hearing such a noisy voice, Zhang Yang smiled indifferently, and just swept around the crowd. The noisy voice disappeared in an instant, and all the Saiyans lowered their heads one after another, not daring to look at Zhang Yang at all. Boom! Rumble! Just when the atmosphere of the scene was a little awkward, there was a sudden roar at an altitude of 10,000 meters. This is the sound of the universe spacecraft engine starting. It sounds like the roar of a beast, the sound is deafening. Coming. Hearing the sound, King Vegeta looked up, his face darkened instantly. He understood that if the blonde warrior on planet Vegeta was unwilling to make a move, then planet Vegeta, the Saiyan clan might. Do not. It should be said that there will definitely be a catastrophe. Thinking of this, King Vegeta couldn't help but took a deep breath, and then glanced at Zhang Yang who was on the side. Under the shocked eyes of everyone, he actually knelt down directly. Kings. Seeing King Vegeta knelt down, all Saiyans looked confused, not understanding why the king made such a move. At this moment, King Vegeta shouted, I am the king of the Saiyan clan. I beg your lord to go out and save my planet Vegeta, and save my Saiyan clan from danger. Hearing this, the audience was shocked. Zhang Yang couldn't help but narrow his eyes when he heard this. This King Vegeta is really enough to let go of his figure. But the survival of planet Vegeta and the Saiyan clan really has nothing to do with him. If it's gone, then it's gone. There is no sound. 10 seconds later, King Vegeta's complexion gradually turned ugly. After all, he thought he had lowered his body so much that he knelt down and begged the blonde warrior to help him. However, what was obtained was ignored. In an instant, a gloomy look appeared on King Vegeta's face. Immediately, King Vegeta slowly got up from the ground. He glanced at Zhang Yang who was expressionless, and said indifferently, your name is Barnes, right? The enemy is now, come with me. Boom! King Vegeta's voice hadn't completely fallen yet. At this moment there was another deafening roar of the engine of the universe spaceship in the sky. Hurrah! A gust of wind blew up, and a huge and incomparably huge spaceship stayed above everyone's height. Zhang Yang was the first to look up, and saw that the spaceship slowly flew out of a floating disc, and sitting on it was the first villain of Dragon Ball, Frieza. The moment he saw Frieza, Zhang Yang couldn't help staring. Although this guy is nothing more than a 5 scumbags in front of him now, but this guy can carry too many memories of his childhood in his previous life. King Frieza, King Vegeta is here for no reason, there must be something wrong. At this time, another ugly guy slowly flew out of the spaceship. It was Dodoria. Oh, I hope that these stinky monkeys will have some problems and give me a big surprise. Frieza covered her mouth and laughed. The laughter was so presumptuous. So Zhang Yang, in the original book, at this period, with his terrifying combat power, he did have the capital to overwhelm everything. The two fell slowly, and finally landed a few meters above Zhang Yang and others. King Vegeta, long time no see. Frieza sat in the small floating disc, looked down at King Vegeta and the crowd below, and waved hello with a half smile. King Frieza. The moment King Vegeta saw Frieza, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead instantly. He flew into the sky in a hurry, and saluted respectfully. Whoosh! As King Vegeta lifted off, all the Saiyans on the ground also flew into the sky, bowing respectfully to Frieza. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yang yawned. He was not interested in interacting with Frieza, so he pointed his index finger between his eyebrows. Just as he was about to use instant transmission to leave planet Vegeta, Dodoria in the sky was watching to him. Who's that guy? All of you have an audience with King Frieza, but he doesn't move, what audacity. Dodoria's face was extremely gloomy. King Vegeta was just about to speak. Saiyan on one side said directly, "My lord, that guy is really daring. He even dared to kill a member of the same clan in front of King Vegeta before. However, this guy's strength is really good." Dodoria waved his hand, sneered, and slowly raised his fingers, only to see a golden light flashing from his fingertips. Boom! In the next second, a terrifying finger cannon was fired directly. "It's just a stinky monkey, do you still think it's incomparably powerful? It's really ridiculous." As Dodoria's voice fell, the fingers bombarded the open space below, stirring up waves of dust, and then a dark mushroom cloud rose up. Seeing this scene, King Vegeta frowned slightly. For him, the death of Zhongyang would not cause him any emotional fluctuations, but this Dodoria killed the members of his clan directly in front of him, which was completely giving him power. King Frieza. King Vegeta took a deep breath, with a sorry expression on his face, and was about to say something when, at this moment, a figure suddenly rushed into the sky below. "You want to kill me?" I saw Zhongyang staring at Dodoria and the group of people in the sky expressionlessly, and said indifferently, "You." When Zhongyang appeared in the sky, Dodoria's ugly face was full of disbelief. From his point of view, the powerful self that hit just now was definitely capable of instantly killing a stinky monkey like Zhongyang. However, the reality now slapped him hard in the face. "Killers, people will always kill them." Zhongyang's voice continued, which made Dodoria sneer suddenly, and said lightly, "You stinky monkey, I really don't know if it's the dog's gall that your king gave you or your dog's gall is so big." Zhongyang remained silent, but raised his hand very calmly. Laugh. Like Dodoria's fingertips before, his fingertips shone with golden light, looking extremely dazzling. When Zhongyang's finger guns were condensed, everyone present felt a little palpitation. Even Frieza had an imperceptible look of fear in his eyes at this moment, and he didn't even notice this look. "TCH, with your stinky monkey's strength, let alone blowing you once, even if you blow 10 times, you still can't cause substantial damage to me." Although Dodoria was a little frightened at the moment when Zhongyang's finger guns condensed, she became extremely confident in her own strength in a blink of an eye. Of course, his more self-confidence comes from his belief that Zhongyang's strength is not very strong, so he is confident that he can easily carry it down. Okay. Looking at Dodoria, who is so confident, Zhongyang smiled knowingly. To be reasonable, let alone Dodoria can withstand this finger shot. Even if Frieza next to him transforms into the final form, it is absolutely impossible to resist. Thus, Zhongyang didn't bother to talk nonsense, and directly fired the finger cannon. Boom! In an instant, a deafening roar exploded in everyone's ears. Immediately afterwards, under the shocked eyes of everyone in the air, Zhongyang's finger cannon reached Dodoria's chest in an instant. Boom! Pierce! Even though Dodoria was wearing battle armor, there was still no suspense piercing through his chest. Nani. Until death, Dodoria had that confident look on her face. Only at the moment when he fell down, did his face change slightly, that is, he was confused. Apart from confusion, there is no other expression. Because, he has completely lost his vitality. Just like that, Dodoria, one of Frieza's left and right arms, was killed by the stinky monkey they looked down upon in front of Frieza, the early boss. Barnes. Is he so powerful? The most shocking ones are probably King Vegeta and a group of Saiyan. At this moment, they stared at Zhongyang in disbelief, wondering why this guy could kill Dodoria with a combat power of 20,000 points so easily in one blow. And, isn't he afraid of Frieza's revenge? You know, this guy Frieza was watching all this happen. Could it be that he really has a close relationship with the blonde warrior hiding on planet Vegeta, and is he sure to save him? But, all the Saiyans looked left and right, but they didn't see the so-called blonde warrior appearing at all. Mr. Dodoria just died. Frieza finally came to his senses at this time, looked at Zhongyang, who was extremely calm at the side with some astonishment, and whispered. King Frieza. Seeing Frieza's reaction, King Vegeta and the others changed their expressions and spoke hastily. Roll. Frieza squinted at King Vegeta and the others coldly, then took a deep look at Zhongyang, and then looked up to the sky and burst out laughing. Seeing Frieza laugh out loud for no reason, King Vegeta and the others couldn't help but look at each other in blank dismay, not understanding why this person seemed to have lost his nerve all of a sudden. It is good. Very good. You are the first monkey who dared to resist in front of me. Frieza, who was sitting in the small floating disc, got up slowly, clapping his palms while getting up. His eyes were on Zhongyang, and his eyes were full of admiration. I have to say, Frieza is quite generous. Zhongyang killed Dodoria, one of his left and right arms, and the first thing he realized was not revenge, but appreciation for the monkey who dared to resist him. What's your name? Frieza slowly flew in front of Zhongyang. He was really short, so when he looked at Zhongyang in front of him, he looked up slightly. This made Frieza a little displeased, and immediately vacated a little more to achieve the effect of looking down, and then a smile slowly appeared on his face. Barnes, back to King Frieza, this guy's name is Barnes. Zhongyang didn't respond immediately, but a Saiyan immediately responded. Call out. Boom. I saw Frieza raised his hand and threw out a finger cannon, directly killing the talking Saiyan, and heard his indifferent voice resounding in the field, I didn't ask you. After saying this, he turned his attention to Zhongyang again, and said with a smile, very well, Barnes, right. Among the entire Saiyan clan, only you are qualified to be my loyal dog. Frieza spoke highly of Zhongyang. Indeed, in the original book, Frieza also admired Vegeta very much at the beginning. This shows that he has absolute confidence in his own strength, and he is not afraid of raising tigers at all. Loyal dog. Hearing Frieza's words, Zhongyang laughed. He shook his head and said, Frieza, you are really confident in your own strength. Oh, Frieza raised an eyebrow. Your so-called strength is not worth mentioning in my eyes. Zhongyang said indifferently. His current strength is at the level of gods of destruction, let alone mastering the second stage of Ultra Instinct skills, bursting out with full strength. Even if he is not at the level of gods of destruction at the level of Beerus, he can definitely be at the level of Champa gods of destruction level combat power. Therefore, in his eyes, Frieza at this moment is nothing more than an ant-like existence. I really want to kill Frieza, but it's just a snap of the fingers. Therefore, it is a big joke for Frieza to say such a thing. He. This is what annoys me about you stinky monkeys. You are arrogant, and you don't understand what is truly powerful. Frieza laughed. He wanted to give Zhongyang a little color, let him understand how big the gap between himself and him is. Call out. When Frieza's voice fell, his figure flickered for a moment, and appeared in front of Zhongyang in the next second. Boom. The moment Frieza raised his hand and punched him, he was thrown backwards out of nowhere. Nani? What's going on? King Vegeta, have you seen what's going on? ... Surprised. When Frieza flew upside down for no reason, everyone in midair was startled. With their level and eyesight, they simply didn't see what happened just now. No, I don't know. King Vegeta's fighting power must be extremely powerful for an ordinary Saiyan, but Zhongyang's speed has exceeded their imaginable range, so where does he have the strength to see Zhongyang make a move? Screen. This guy. Here, after flying upside down, Frieza's face became extremely gloomy after he stabilized his body. He stared at Zhongyang not far away, gritted his teeth, and said coldly, you're really hiding deep enough. At the same time, there was a huge wave in his heart. Saiyan. It was able to grow to this point. Thinking of this, he couldn't help recalling an ancient legend. That is, a mighty warrior with blonde hair and blue eyes, like the legendary Super Saiyan. But this guy is not blonde. Frieza was very strange. He didn't understand that Zhongyang was just an ordinary Saiyan, why he was able to knock him back easily, and it looked like he hadn't used his strongest power yet. It can be seen that this guy's strength is definitely not to be underestimated. Do you think Barnes is the blonde warrior? When the scene was a little quiet, a Saiyan lost his voice and uttered his guess. Nani? Barnes, is he going to be that blonde warrior? If it wasn't for Barnes, how could he easily kill Dodoria with a combat power of 20,000 points, and even repel Frieza easily? ... All doubts revealed that Zhongyang might be the blonde warrior, which made King Vegeta's complexion worse and worse. The blonde fighter wouldn't be a status threat if it wasn't Saiyan, but if it was Barnes. So, cluck cluck. Thinking of this, King Vegeta gritted his teeth for a while. He already felt a strong threat to his status from Zhang Yang. Barnes, are you a blonde warrior? At this time, a middle-aged Saiyan yelled at Zhang Yang. Hearing this, Zhang Yang glanced at him indifferently, but ignored him. In his eyes, the survival of planet Vegeta, the survival of the Saiyan clan has nothing to do with him at all. Moreover, the demise of planet Vegeta by Frieza is purely a general trend and follows the development of the plot. He forcibly intervenes without mentioning any butterfly effect. Even if there is no butterfly effect, he will not save planet Vegeta from the crisis of star destruction. Pointing his index finger to the center of his eyebrows, he already had the intention to leave. At this time, Frieza flew over quickly, just as he was about to fire a powerful energy cannon to regain his face. Zhang Yang just cast him an indifferent look, but the latter felt his whole body was cold, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, unable to move a step at all. At this moment, Frieza was sweating profusely, and beads of sweat rolled down his back. He is scared. He is invincible in the vertical and horizontal universe. He is scared for the first time. Moreover, the person he fears is a lowly dead monkey, which makes the expression on his face at this moment extremely magical. Call out. There was a layer of ripples in the air, and only a sound of breaking through the air was heard, and Zhang Yang just disappeared from everyone's sight. This dead monkey. Barnes. I remember you. After Zhang Yang disappeared for more than 10 seconds, Frieza, who was shocked, finally regained his composure. At this moment, his face was full of viciousness. He vowed that one day he would get back the scene that was lost in front of Zhang Yang today. What's next for planet Vegeta? Zhang Yang isn't ready to leave. At this moment, he has arrived on Earth through the advanced version of instant transmission. The current timeline is only I-737, and there are still more than 10 years before the first story of Dragon Ball begins. During this time period, he feels that there is no need to live on the Earth all the time. But, he still bought a property in Exodus. As for where the money came from, such things in life should not be too simple for the system. After staying in the Western capital for almost 2 months, on this day, he arrived in the 7th universe Gods of Destruction realm. Call out. In the 7th universe Gods of Destruction world, a piercing sound resounded. Next second, the figure of Zhang Yang appeared. Whis, who was sipping tea, flickered for a moment, then looked at Zhang Yang, couldn't help chuckling twice when he saw this little guy, and said, Master Beerus just fell asleep, you came back in time. Quote. Hey hey hey. Zhang Yang scratched the back of his head, then sat down on a stone bench next to Whis. Whis poured him a cup of tea, stared at him with a smile, but didn't speak again. Zhang Yang took a deep breath, then drank the tea in the cup, and then said, Mr. Whis, from now on I will practice in the Gods of Destruction world. It doesn't matter bar. Do you think it matters? Whis looked at Zhang Yang with a smile. Hey, it's definitely okay. This time, I have prepared enough delicious food. Zhang Yang said with a grin. To say that he has prepared enough delicacies, it is better to say that there are countless delicacies in his gourmet house. These delicacies have enough capital to allow him to stay in the Gods of Destruction world until the finale of Dragon Ball is no problem. Oh, when Whis heard the deliciousness, his interest instantly rose. Zhang Yang coughed twice, lowered his voice, and said, Mr. Whis, let me ask you a question first. Tell me the story. Whis smiled slightly. What is the level of Master Beerus's strength? Zhang Yang was very curious. The Dragon Ball official once said that if Beerus' combat power is expressed numerically, it would be 10, while Gods of Destruction Champa of the 6th universe would be 9.9, which means that a numerical value of only 0.1 is the gap between heaven and earth. Even though he is currently Gods of Destruction level combat power, after all, he doesn't know which value he is in. Well, your question is so true that it stopped me. Whis frowned slightly when he heard Zhang Yang's question, but quickly recovered, chuckled twice, and said, after reaching the Gods of Destruction level combat power, you can't just measure it by numerical value. This a little, I think you should be able to experience some. While speaking, Whis took a deep look at Zhang Yang. Although Zhang Yang's combat power was not fully understood by him, Whis could still feel that the little guy's combat power had definitely entered the Gods of Destruction level. Glancing at Whis' slightly meaningful eyes, Zhang Yang grinned, but did not refute, and continued to ask, then, is there only Lord Beerus in the entire universe as gods of destruction? Of course not. Whis shook his head. Oh, a look of surprise appeared on Zhang Yang's face. I told you before that the universe we are in is the 7th universe, and there are a total of 18 universes in the entire big universe. Whis spoke softly. Wait a moment. Zhang Yang wasn't very interested in hearing more about the universe, but when Whis said that there are 18 universes in this world, his pupils constricted for a while, and an expression of extreme shock appeared on his face. This time, he didn't pretend to be surprised like before. At this moment, he was completely shocked by what Whis said. There are 18 universes in total. The world of Dragon Ball. Aren't there only 12 universes? Why, will there be 6 more universes popping up all of a sudden? It's the most normal thing to be surprised when you know this kind of secret for the first time. Whis is very satisfied with Zhang Yang's shock. After all, after knowing the vastness of this universe, no one can feel their own insignificance. The universe we are in is the 7th universe. So, there are a total of 18 universes, all universes named after numbers. The 1st, 2nd, or even the 18th universe. Zhang Yang swallowed and asked in a low voice. Yes. Whis nodded. The gods of destruction of the 7th universe is Lord Beerus, and every other universe has its own gods of destruction. Zhang Yang felt quite messy in the wind at the moment. After all, what Whis is saying now has indeed subverted his perception of the world of Dragon Ball. Wait, there seem to be 18 universes in the Dragon Ball world. It's just 6 were erased by Zeno, so there are only 12 universes in the original book gone. A flash of inspiration flashed in Zhang Yang's mind, and he suddenly remembered something. But it was this thought that terrified him. Because this may not be the Dragon Ball world he is familiar with, but a parallel Dragon Ball world similar to the Dragon Ball anime world. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang's mouth couldn't help opening a lot. The shock at this moment is really hard to express in words. This is simply not too shocking. Then, Master Beerus is the most powerful existence among the gods of destruction in the 18 universes, right? Zhang Yang swallowed again, and asked tentatively. Master Beerus, the strongest. Zhang Yang's words made Whis shake his head and chuckled, and said, among the 18 universes, there are gods of destruction that are stronger than Lord Beerus. Everywhere, hearing this news, Zhang Yang was so shocked that he was speechless. Outrageous. At this moment, upon hearing Whis' words, there was only one word in Zhang Yang's mind. Outrageous. Really outrageous to the extreme. As we all know, Beerus's strength in the original book can defeat the remaining 11 gods of destruction. But in this parallel world of the original Dragon Ball, there are gods of destruction that are stronger than Beerus everywhere. This, how not to shock Zhang Yang. Then, who are the gods of destruction stronger than Lord Beerus? Zhang Yang asked. He also muttered in his heart at the same time, if he thinks that the gods of destruction of the other 11 universes in the original book is better than Beerus, then it is really outrageous. Master Beerus's strength can be regarded as first-class level among gods of destruction. Whis explained. From Lord Borui, the gods of destruction in the 13th universe, to the Lord gods of destruction in the 18th universe, the gods of destruction in these 6 universes are all stronger than Master Beerus, right? A star and a half. The gods of destruction Borui of the 13th universe. The gods of destruction Lawbreaker of the 18th universe. Hearing the names of these 2 gods of destruction that he had never heard of before, Zhang Yang's eyes flickered, and it was not hard to see that he was very interested in these new gods of destruction that were stronger than Beerus. He used to think that surpassing Beerus was his goal, but now it seems that his goal should be to surpass the strongest gods of destruction among the 18 universes. Zhang Yang opened his mouth. Originally, he wanted to ask who is the most powerful gods of destruction among the 18 universes. Strong gods of destruction is really a bit too high Yuan. Therefore, he did not ask, but nodded excitedly, and said, Mr. Whis, in the next period of time, I will ask you to guide me in my practice. Holding Angel Whis' thighs and not hugging, Zhang Yang can show that his brain is not that stupid. Although he can get a lot of rewards during the retreat, but in the end, actual combat is the basis of all battles. Without actual combat experience, No matter how terrifying his strength is, there is no suspense when he faces an existence whose strength is similar to his. He is the only one who loses. Just like that, spring has passed and autumn has come. Zhang Yang's first year in the Gods of Destruction world has passed. During this year, although Zhang Yang has been instructed by Whis all the time, he has not achieved a significant leap in combat power. During this year, the combat power index on his character attribute panel also showed up. Although he was Gods of Destruction level combat power before, he belonged to the lowest Gods of Destruction level combat power, and the value was only 9. After a year, his combat power value has now reached 9.12. Don't underestimate the 0.12 increase in combat power. Facing him a year ago, he can fight at least a dozen. It can be seen that after reaching the Gods of Destruction level of combat power, every little increase in combat power it will be extremely terrifying. Over the past year, the increase in combat power is not bad. The most important thing is that his actual combat experience is very terrifying. It can be said that he is an absolute super master of Gods of Destruction level combat power. Whis, I will be in retreat for a while. I put all the food after my retreat in this capsule, enough for you to eat for a year. After Zhang Yang threw a capsule to Whis, he directly entered the closed state. In this way, a year passed again. IG 739, a day in May. Zhang Yang slowly walked out of the infinite multiplier gravity chamber, with an excited smile on his face at this moment. Host, Zhang Yang. Bloodline, Saiyan. Combat strength, Gods of Destruction level combat strength 9.92. Skills, Flash for 1 second, 20 times Kaioken without side effects, Instant Transmission Advanced Version, 35% chance to kill attribute effects, 35% chance to weaken attribute effects, the second stage Ultra Instinct. Items, Unlimited Multiple Gravity Room, Unlimited Food House, Shondo 999+. Checking his own character attribute panel, the smile on Zhang Yang's face deepened, and now he has surpassed the Gods of Destruction level combat power of the low-level level. In other words, with his combat power, he can be considered a character among the 18 universes. At least, on the bright side, the Gods of Destruction Champa of the 6th universe is no longer his opponent. Don't think that he only exceeds Champa's value of 0.2, but with this value of 0.2, Zhang Yang thinks that he is fully fired, and there is no suspense at all to beat Champa violently. The first small goal, surpassing the strongest Gods of Destruction Beerus ever. Zhang Yang is very confident about his future, so he set his first small goal. As for the future goal, needless to say, it is definitely to surpass the strongest Gods of Destruction among the 18 universes. Congratulations! Zhang Yang's figure flickered suddenly, and appeared directly in front of Whis in the next second. At this moment, Whis, who was sitting on the stone bench, glanced at him with a surprised expression on his face. Obviously, he could see that Zhang Yang had grown very rapidly in this year's retreat. Your potential is truly terrifying. Although Whis doesn't know Zhang Yang's specific combat power value, he can guess that even if he is not at the same level as Champa's Gods of Destruction level, it is definitely second only to this level of Gods of Destruction level combat power up. You know, a year ago, Zhang Yang's strength was shown, far weaker than Champa's level, but now it's only been a year, and it's infinitely close to Champa's level, which really shocked Whis. Mr. Whis, point me again. Zhang Yang's heart skipped a beat, and he said to Whis with a smile. Master Beerus is about to wake up. There is no need for you and me to fight anymore, lest he will get angry. Whis chuckled and shook his head. Boom! Just as Whis finished speaking, a terrifying aura came from Beerus' palace. Call out! In the next second, a figure suddenly flew out of the palace, flashed, and arrived in front of the two of them in an instant. Kailu! Beerus was wearing pajamas, squinting and licking the back of his hand. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yang coughed several times in his heart. To be honest, this appearance of Beerus is indeed a bit cute. But Zhang Yang didn't dare to speak out in front of him. Once he did, he would definitely be beaten up. By the way, Zhang Yang, follow me to the 6th universe in 2 days. After licking the back of his hand for a while, Beerus put his hands behind his back and made a nonchalant sound. To the 6th universe. Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback. Didn't Whis tell you? There are 18 universes in total. Seeing Zhang Yang's dazed look, Beerus couldn't help explaining. Master Beerus, Mr. Whis said it. It's just that I'm a little curious why I went to the 6th universe. Zhang Yang scratched the back of his head. In his memory, Beerus hadn't woken up at this time, let alone went to the 6th universe on his own initiative. Therefore, he was a little curious about the purpose of Beerus going to the 6th universe, and he was also curious about whether the plot of this parallel world was different from the original one. In this way, to be honest, the innate conditions for him to predict any plot development are gone. Even, the temperament of each character may be different from the character he knows, which is not a good thing for him. He. Beerus laughed. Zhang Yang, you are the ace chef of my 7th universe. The food you cook is so delicious, how could I not let Champa, who is my younger brother, taste it? Hearing this, Zhang Yang opened his mouth a little bit. Good guy. Feelings Beerus, this guy wants to pretend. But, it is also possible to follow along. Okay, when are you leaving? Zhang Yang nodded in agreement. The gourmet restaurants in his system still had a lot of delicacies that neither Beerus nor Whis had tasted, so he wasn't afraid of being hollowed out at all. After all, there are not only Chinese delicacies in this gourmet house, but the delicacies of the whole earth in the previous life. Immediately, Beerus narrowed his eyes and smiled. Just after waking up, he was able to pretend to be a big bee in front of that guy Champa, let alone his mood at this moment. Shortly after, the 3 of Zhang Yang arrived in the Gods of Destruction realm of the 6th universe. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as the 3 of them arrived in the Gods of Destruction realm of the 6th universe, bursts of explosions and roars sounded immediately. Zhang Yang was a little taken aback. Hey, Champa seems to know I'm coming, so he even set off firecrackers to welcome me. Beerus had an unusual idea, and said with a smile. Hearing this, the corner of Zhang Yang's mouth couldn't help twitching. When this guy is in a good mood, his thoughts are really weird enough. Call out, call out, call out. 3 piercing sounds sounded, and then the 3 of Zhang Yang appeared in front of Champa and Vados. Champa looked at the 3 people in front of him and frowned. When he saw that it was Beerus, he frowned even more, and he said calmly, what are you doing in my 6th universe? That's certainly a good thing. Beerus smiled, seemingly harmless. But it was the smile, and the words he said, that instantly put Champa on alert. It's good that this guy Beerus doesn't come to his territory to cause damage, and it will bring him good things. It doesn't exist. As a result, Champa's face darkened in an instant, and he said indifferently, I don't need your so-called good things. Since I am in a good mood now, I advise you to go back to your 7th universe. Zhang Yang, I'm a little hungry. Beerus ignored Champa's words and sat down on the stone bench beside the stone table. Zhang Yang naturally understood what Beerus meant, and at the same time as he stepped forward, a small disc appeared in his hand, and then he lifted the cover above the disc. In an instant, a strong meaty smell wafted directly. Sniff, sniff, sniff. When the smell of meat drifted into Champa's nose, he took a few breaths, and when the smell of meat entered his nose, his eyes suddenly widened. Call out, step out. Champa arrived in front of the stone table in an instant, bent down, and put a fat face in front of Xiao Yuanpan. Sniff, sniff, sniff. After sniffing a few more times, the expression on his face suddenly became excited. It's so fragrant. What kind of food is this? Champa exclaimed. He had never smelled such delicious food before. Just smelling the smell of meat, his stomach couldn't help but started to growl, and he couldn't stop swallowing at this moment, obviously greedy to the extreme. Boiled pork slices. Zhang Yang smiled slightly. Boiled pork slices. Champa froze for a moment. It was the first time he had heard of this kind of delicacy in universe. When Champa was in a daze, a pair of chopsticks appeared in Beerus's hand, and he started to eat directly. Hoo-hoo. The boiled pork slices were still very spicy, so Beerus was sweating profusely in the blink of an eye after just 2 mouthfuls and because it was very hot. At this time, Champa regained his composure, and hurriedly grabbed the small disc with his hands. Snapped. At this time, Beerus hit his hand with a chopstick and scolded, Don't grab the food with your dirty hands, it's an insult to the food. Champa, who has always been unconvinced, was educated by Beerus thugs at this moment, but he admitted it for the first time. For this delicacy called boiled pork slices, I endured it. Champa glared at Beerus and said coldly. Cut. Beerus snorted coldly. Bending down for food is not shame, but respect for food. Champa raised his head, then lowered his head and stared greedily at the boiled meat slices in the small disc, licking his lips non-stop. After a few seconds, he turned his head to look at Zhang Yang, who took out the delicacy, and yelled, "Hey, human boy, give me a tool for Beerus to eat delicacy." Hearing Champa's yell, Zhang Yang was expressionless and unmoved at all. Seeing that Zhang Yang, a little human being, didn't care about him, Champa frowned suddenly, and his face was also a little uncomfortable. Beerus can ignore him, that's because that guy is stronger than him, so he can bear it. And this little human in front of him dared to ignore him. How could Champa, who was the 6th universe gods of destruction, bear it? Immediately, Champa raised his palm and blasted out a purple energy cannon. Boom! The purple energy cannon was fired, and the displeasure on Champa's face disappeared instantly, and turned into a proud expression. In his opinion, this little human being who dared to ignore him is dead. Call out. Unexpectedly, at the moment when the purple energy cannon fired by Champa was about to hit Zhang Yang, the latter's figure flickered, and the energy cannon flew out and exploded in the air not far away. Boom! Rumble! The deafening roar of the explosion rang out in the entire Gods of Destruction world, and the powerful aftermath made the entire Gods of Destruction world tremble. Nani! Champa's eyes widened suddenly when he saw that his shot was empty. You little human, you have some strength. Seeing Zhang Yang reappear in the same place, Champa's eyes could not help flickering, and the corners of his mouth slowly curled up. Boom! At the moment when the voice of praise just fell, Champa released a terrifying purple energy cannon again. This time, the speed at which the energy cannon fires is even more terrifying than the one just now, and the speed is also faster. Boom! Facing Champa's second energy cannon attack, Zhang Yang raised his hand and blasted out a golden energy cannon. Boom! There was only a roar, and then under the surprised eyes of Champa and Vados beside him, the energy cannon of Zhang Yang, a small human being, actually directly overwhelmed Champa's energy cannon, and instantly blasted on Champa's chest. Boom! Champa was blown out, covered in dust. Ha ha ha! Seeing this scene, Beerus, who was eating boiled pork slices, burst into a mocking laugh, but he coughed violently after laughing. Because he choked on the hot soup of boiled pork slices. Seeing this scene, Zhang Yang and Whis on the other side looked at each other, and then couldn't help laughing. Hateful. On Champa's side, after getting up from the ground, his whole body exploded with an extremely terrifying flame of purple energy. Obviously, he was angry because he was crushed by a small human being. Lord Champa, little Zhang Yang is no ordinary human being. Whis reminded me at this time. If Champa still regards Zhang Yang as an ordinary human being, even if he is a phenomenon-level master among human beings, he will definitely be devastated. After all, the current Zhang Yang has already stepped into the Gods of Destruction level in terms of combat power. To some extent, Zhang Yang is the Gods of Destruction, but he has no God position. Hearing Whis' reminder, Champa fixed his gaze, then carefully sized Zhang Yang, a human being, and suddenly frowned. Because he found that he couldn't see through this little human being, and what he didn't even want to believe was that this guy gave him an inexplicable sense of oppression. Beerus, who is he? Champa cast his eyes on Beerus, who was eating boiled pork slices, and asked in a deep voice. His name is Zhang Yang, but he's just the ace chef of my 7th universe. Beerus tilted his head to look at Champa with an uncertain expression, squinted his eyes and smiled. What? Are you scared? You, Champa, are Gods of Destruction who is the 6th universe. Would you actually feel afraid of a chef? The words are full of sarcasm. Beerus. Champa gritted his teeth for a while. He knew that Beerus was a bad guy. HMPH. Am I afraid? Champa let out a loud cry, and the purple energy flames on his body exploded suddenly, as if he was real. At this moment, he looked murderous, not as casual as before. Oh, what is that? Beerus sneered, his words still full of sarcasm. I just want to eat delicious food. When I am full, I will teach this ignorant human kid a lesson. Champa said coldly. Hey, Beerus, eat less. You eat up. What should I do? At this moment, he is indeed not afraid of Zhang Yang. After all, no matter how powerful a human being is, he is only a small human being. Does he really have the strength to challenge gods of destruction? The aroma of boiled pork slices is too tempting, and now he just wants to feast on this delicacy that he has never eaten before, so there is no lesson for Zhang Yang, a human boy. Master Champa wants to eat delicious food. At this time, Zhang Yang spoke up. This is just a small matter, you just need to fight with me with all your strength, and I promise to serve you food that is more delicious than boiled pork slices. Oh, hearing Zhang Yang's words, Champa's eyes lit up immediately, and then his eyeballs rolled around, and he began to think in his heart. With his strength, naturally he couldn't attack such a small human like Zhang Yang with all his strength, otherwise, wouldn't his delicious food be gone? However, he was skeptical about Zhang Yang's words. After all, the delicacy of boiled pork slices is enough to be regarded by him as the most delicious delicacy in the universe just by virtue of its aroma. And when Zhang Yang said that he could produce food that was even more delicious than boiled pork slices, he naturally didn't believe it. So, I'll fight with you, you can get me another. No, 5. How about 10 of this delicacy called boiled pork slices? Champa stared at Zhang Yang eagerly, and raised his voice. For the food, how about being a training partner for free? As he said before, there is no shame in bending over for good food. For a person like him who loves food, he can be called a gourmet only by bending his waist for food. This is the greatest respect for delicious food. 10 portions of boiled pork slices, let alone Zhang Yang's own cooking, so how could he refuse? He just came out, and his combat power reached 9.92. If he can fight with Champa, who is not far behind in combat power, he will definitely gain a lot of combat experience. This is also the reason why Zhang Yang chose to follow Beerus to the 6th universe, and why he made a request for a battle with Champa. Soon, Zhang Yang and Champa slowly ascended to the height of 10,000 meters in the world of gods of destruction. At this moment, Whis whispered to Vados beside him, Sister Vados, let's build an energy shield together. Vados was slightly taken aback by Whis' request. Immediately, she looked up at the sky, with a little surprise on her face. The strength of this little human, is it that powerful? She and Whis need to team up to build an energy shield. Chapter 21. Doubt is doubt, but Vados listened to Whis and built an energy shield with him. The energy shield built by the two angels Vados and Whis, let alone Zhang Yang and Champa, even if the gods of destruction of the 18 universes joined forces, they might not be able to damage the energy shield in the slightest. At this moment, above the sky, Zhang Yang and Champa looked at each other, and the latter's eyes were full of jokes. In his opinion, the kid on the opposite side was just a human being. So, at this moment, for his own 10 portion of boiled pork slices, Champa has already started to think about how much effort to put in, and at the same time, by the way, teach this ignorant human boy a lesson. Come on, I'll let you make the first move. Champa hooked his fingers at Zhang Yang and said with a faint smile. With his smile, his face immediately trembled, and at this moment Champa had completely regarded Zhang Yang as a fish on the cutting board, and he was completely letting him be slaughtered. Okay, seeing that Champa belittled him so much, Zhang Yang was not angry, and nodded with a light smile. Call out. The moment his words fell, Zhang Yang disappeared high above the sky, and a sound of breaking through the air resounded in the air. Next second, the figure of Zhang Yang appeared in front of Champa. Boom! The sound of the wind is so terrifying. Zhang Yang's punch was like a thunderous explosion, which made Champa's ears buzz. Boom! Champa is a powerful gods of destruction after all, with extremely terrifying reflexes, and a backhand is also punched out. I saw two fists clashing together, and a wave of energy rippled out. Rumble! The deafening roar of explosions kept ringing in the sky. Although it seemed that there was nothing wrong with the space, the actual hidden space had been broken into countless pieces. Seeing this scene, Vados and Beerus below could not help but twitch their brows, and even showed a little surprise on their faces. Whis! Beerus put down his chopsticks, wiped the grease from the corners of his mouth, got up and slowly came to Whis and Vados, and asked, has that kid Zhang Yang stepped into the gods of destruction level? Yes, Lord Beerus. Whis squinted and nodded with a smile. Speaking of which, Zhang Yang can be regarded as his half-apprentice. In the guidance of the previous year, Whis can almost be said to know Zhang Yang's cards. Especially the Ultra Instinct. That's not an Ultra Instinct Mega, it's a perfect Ultra Instinct. In other words, in a sense, Zhang Yang has surpassed Beerus in one field. This kid is really perverted. Beerus knew that Zhang Yang's potential was terrifying. When he first met him, he was already a phenomenon-level master among human beings. Now, in just a few years, he has already stepped into the level of gods of destruction level combat power. This kind of talent can be called a monster. Even back then, he had lingered at the level of a phenomenon-level master for more than 10 years, and even with this speed, he was also known as the ultimate genius. But what about Zhang Yang? In just a few years, he stepped into this level. Moreover, at the moment, in Beerus' view, Zhang Yang seemed to be extremely comfortable against Champa, and he didn't feel like going all out at all. In other words, Zhang Yang's strength is still reserved, and maybe he is not at the level of just entering the gods of destruction level of combat power. However, it is still impossible for him to defeat Champa, who is attacking at full strength. Beerus said lightly. Zhang Yang's shot today completely made Beerus recognize him in everything except cooking. Not necessarily, Master Beerus. Whis turned around, squinted his eyes and smiled, and said, the battle between little Zhang Yang and Master Champa has just begun, let's wait and see. Boom, rumble, boom, bang bang bang, ah da 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 da. At this moment, high above the sky, bursts of intense collision sounds came from high to low. Drink. There were two voices of shouting together, and Zhang Yang and Champa punched each other, and both of them retreated and flew out. 10 steps. Champa looked at Zhang Yang not far away, with a gloomy expression on his face. The power he used just now had reached 80%, and under the blast of 80% of the power against this human kid, Zhang Yang only took 10 steps back. And he Champa, a full 20 steps back. In other words, in terms of 80% strength, I am slightly inferior to Zhang Yang, which shows how terrifying this human boy's strength is. Gods of Destruction class. Champa's eyes flickered for a moment, and the look on his face became serious at this moment. The existence of a Gods of Destruction level battle force cannot help but be ignored by him. After all, phenomenal level masters are common, but Gods of Destruction level combat power is hard to come by. Boy, your strength is very good. But Gods of Destruction level combat forces can't use their full strength to fight. You don't know, but I know, so let's still click till the end. Champa took a deep breath and spoke. Clear. Zhang Yang naturally knew this rule, but he didn't know that Wisinvados had already built an energy shield. And the reason why Champa said such a thing was naturally to retreat for himself. After all, he couldn't see through Zhang Yang, and he didn't know whether he could really suppress this kid with all his strength. So in order not to lose face, he naturally said such words. Bring it on. Champa let out a loud cry, and the purple energy flames on his body exploded completely, rushing straight to the sky of Gods of Destruction. Call out. Champa's figure flickered for a moment, and in the next second, he directly arrived in front of Zhang Yang. Drink. Zhang Yang clenched his fist and let out a loud shout. At this moment, bursts of silver-white air flowed from his body. Nani. At the moment when Zhang Yang's body was filled with silver-white air, not only Champa, but also Beerus below couldn't help showing a look of shock. As for Whis, he had a faint smile on his face, apparently not surprised by Zhang Yang's current state. Ultra Instinct. Beerus' eyes widened, and he lost his voice. Whis. That kid, is it an Ultra Instinct? Or just a prototype? To be honest, Beerus really prefers to believe that what Zhang Yang has entered at this moment is the realm of Ultra Instinct Zhao. After all, the perfect Ultra Instinct is a realm that no Gods of Destruction can set foot in except for that one. The prototype of Ultra Instinct. No. When Beerus was shocked, Vados on the side shook his head and said, this little guy has entered the perfect Ultra Instinct realm. Nani. Surprised. Hearing Vados' words, although Beerus had some guesses in his heart, the shock on his face was deeper than before when he got the answer. Perfect Ultra Instinct. This is the perfect Ultra Instinct. You fool, you're really perverted. In the sky, Champa felt the oppression of the perfect Ultra Instinct at close range, and his face was full of astonishment and shock at this moment. He doesn't understand. Zhang Yang is just a human being who looks extremely young, why he is so powerful, and even comprehended the realm of perfection Ultra Instinct. Call out. Zhang Yang moved. He doesn't care much more than Champa's nonsense. At this moment he has absolute calmness and has completely entered the state of selflessness. Boom. Punch. Zhang Yang directly blasted Champa away. Don't think that Ultra Instinct is just a state, not powerful. In the original manga, although Son Goku has completely entered the Ultra Instinct realm, he was still instantly killed by Beerus, but think about it, is there any comparison between Son Goku's strength and Zhang Yang's? And Zhang Yang's perfect Ultra Instinct is not triggered randomly, but he has completely controlled this realm. As long as he wants, he can even integrate this realm into his normal state, maintaining the highest fighting state all year round. And many more. While beating Champa violently, a flash of light flashed in Zhang Yang's mind, because he suddenly had an idea. That is, can Super Saiyan God's superimposed forms superimpose the Ultra Instinct to give birth to a new form that did not appear in the original work? Although it may not be possible to increase the multiplier of transformation, after all, a different Super Saiyan God may be born. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang's heart suddenly became hot. In fact, with his current strength, whether he transforms into a Super Saiyan God or not has little effect on his overall combat power. Boom. While thinking, the battle between Zhang Yang and Champa. Do not. It should be said to be a violent beating, and the final stage has been thoroughly carried out. After a heavy punch, Champa was blasted to the ground of gods of destruction. Ended. Even if it didn't end, Champa would probably choose to end this unsuspecting battle. Zhang Yang himself has the strength not to lose to Champa, coupled with the realm of perfect Ultra Instinct, he may not be Zhang Yang's opponent. Boom. Zhang Yang jumped down from the sky, and a big pit appeared under his feet. Okay. Beerus looked at Zhang Yang, and couldn't help admiring, you really have enough surprises. It's only been so long, and you've gone from a simple extreme to a perfect extreme. Hey hey hey. Zhang Yang just smiled foolishly. Whis, 10 years later, I feel the need to bring this kid to a big event. Beerus rolled his eyeballs and whispered to Whis. Oh, Master Beerus wants to talk about the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference 10 years later. A little surprise appeared on Whis' face. Because, the people who can go to participate in the Gods of Destruction Exchange meeting can only be Gods of Destruction and Angel, or the existence that will become Gods of Destruction in the future. And Beerus wants to bring Zhang Yang to the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference that will be held 10 years later. It is obviously to make Zhang Yang a candidate for the 7th Universe Gods of Destruction. Yes. Beerus glanced at Zhang Yang on the side, and said with a smile, this guy's potential is terrifying, it's a pity not to cultivate it well. In his opinion, Zhang Yang is definitely more likely than him to challenge that one in a very short time. Well, Whis nodded in agreement. Zhang Yang's growth rate is the most outrageous guy he has ever seen in so many billion years. If you don't pay attention, this guy will even surpass Lord Beerus. Just like before Zhang Yang fought Champa, no one actually thought that he would defeat Champa so easily, even though this kid seemed to surpass Champa in the realm of perfect Ultra Instinct. But anyone with a discerning eye can see that before Zhang Yang entered the perfect Ultra Instinct, he was already pressing down on Champa. It can be seen from this that Zhang Yang's strength is definitely at the same level as Champa, and may even be slightly better. Wait, Zhang Yang, this guy. I remember, isn't he Saiyan? He was transformed last time. And he never transformed in the previous fight with Champa. So, suddenly, Beerus seemed to have realized something, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Hearing what Beerus said, Whis couldn't help but frown. Good guy. Whis also remembered at this moment, the little guy Zhang Yang has a transformation, and he hadn't transformed when he fought Champa before. From this, it can be seen that this kid may still be hiding his fighting power. Thinking of this, Beerus narrowed his eyes gradually. To be honest, his hands were a little itchy, and he wanted to test Zhang Yang's current level of strength. Before you go back, find a chance to fight him. Beerus thought to himself. At this moment, the disheveled Champa ran quickly. Boy, don't forget my 10 servings of boiled pork slices. Even though Champa was severely beaten, he didn't feel ashamed. He thought that he was defeated by the perfect Ultra Instinct, and that was extremely normal. Rest assured, Zhang Yang smiled slightly. Clap. Champa patted the dust on his body, then looked at Vados, then set his sights on Zhang Yang, and said with a smile, Boy, I think your potential is extraordinary. My sixth universe has not yet been a candidate for gods of destruction, are you interested in playing around? As soon as Champa said this, not only Zhang Yang was stunned, but Beerus on the other side was also stunned for an instant. What do you mean? This Champa, was it poaching in front of him? It's meow. Don't give him Beerus face at all. Champa. Beerus immediately scolded in a low voice. Zhang Yang is from my 7th universe. What happened to the people from your 7th universe? Champa squinted at Beerus, and said indifferently, as long as he is not a candidate for gods of destruction in your 7th universe, then I can invite him to be a candidate for gods of destruction in the 6th universe. Who said he wasn't? Beerus blushed a little, raised his head and said, I have already discussed with Whis to make Zhang Yang a candidate for gods of destruction in the 7th universe. Now if you want to poach someone, you will definitely not get what you want. Seeing Beerus and Champa quarrel, Zhang Yang on the other side was speechless for a while. To be honest, he doesn't want to be the candidate gods of destruction of the 6th universe or the candidate gods of destruction of the 7th universe. The reason is simple, the life of gods of destruction is bound to the life of Supreme Kai. As we all know, the Supreme Kai is extremely weak. Once it dies, the gods of destruction will also die. Although neither Beerus nor Champa will step down at present, if he can't be the candidate for gods of destruction, he still won't choose to be the candidate for gods of destruction. Master Beerus, Lord Champa. While Beerus and Champa were still arguing, Whis and Vados called out softly at the same time, little Zhang Yang hasn't agreed yet, so I think it's better to let it go. Hearing this, Zhang Yang coughed twice, nodded hastily, and said, ah yes. I don't want to be a candidate for gods of destruction right now, so Lord Beerus and Lord Champa don't argue. Humph. Hearing Zhang Yang's words, Beerus and Champa glared at each other, then shook their heads coldly. Next, Zhang Yang gave Champa 10 slices of boiled pork, and then left with Beerus and Whis. The purpose of this trip has been accomplished, and Beerus is smiling all the way back to the 7th universe. The first is that he pretended to be a wave of bee in front of Champa, and the second is naturally seeing Champa being beaten up by someone in his universe. Zhang Yang, my proposal just now was not a joke. During the journey, Beerus should have eased up a bit, and suddenly looked at Zhang Yang solemnly, and said in a deep voice. What proposal? Zhang Yang understood in his heart, but on the surface he was pretending to be stupid. That is. Beerus opened his mouth, just about to continue. Sudden, Whis, the driver, on the return trip, came to a screeching halt. Whis, what are you doing? Beerus stared at Whis with dissatisfaction, but when he looked in this direction, he saw a tall, beautiful woman who looked like a human in the same clothes as Whis, looking at him with a smile. Teacher Anna. Beerus' pupils constricted for a while, and then he stood at attention, and then gave a respectful shout. Miss Anna. Hearing this address, Zhang Yang froze for a moment, then followed Beerus' gaze. She has long silver hair and a shawl, and her facial features are so exquisite and perfect that they don't seem to appear in the mortal world, especially her temperament, which is extremely holy, like a goddess who cannot be desecrated. Angel's clothes. After Zhang Yang was absent for a few seconds, he suddenly noticed this woman who looked a bit like a human being. Her brows were slightly frowned, and she was extremely surprised. Because, this woman dressed exactly like Angel, her complexion is completely different from any angel that Zhang Yang knows. This is also the reason why Zhang Yang feels that this woman is a human being. Master Beerus, Whis, long time no see. The voice came slowly, very ethereal. Sister Anna, Lord Buzz, long time no see. Whis smiled and looked at Anna and Buzz standing in the universe, and said hello. Hey, Whis, long time no see. As for the guy who is begging for a fight, I won't say hello. A magnetic sound sounded, causing Zhang Yang to look, only to see a lion-masked man wearing gods of destruction staring at him. Who is this human? Buzz spoke. Buzz, his name is Zhang Yang, and he is currently a pending candidate for gods of destruction in the 7th universe. Beerus said in a low voice. Oh, it turned out to be a pending candidate for gods of destruction. There was a trace of pity in Buzz's eyes. Just as Zhang Yang was about to speak, Beerus on the side coughed twice, came to his side, and lowered his voice. Boy, I'm saving you, but you don't know. Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback. This guy is gods of destruction from the 15th universe, named Buzz. His favorite thing is strong humans. I mean, you get the point. Beerus spoke. Could it be eating people? Zhang Yang was startled when he heard what Beerus said, and then he glanced at Buzz, who was staring at him with fiery eyes, and the corners of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Good guy. This fiery gaze really seemed to have some thoughts about him. In that case, let's go. At the current stage, Zhang Yang knows that he can't even beat Beerus with full firepower. This gods of destruction named Buzz is obviously stronger than Beerus. Therefore, he thought it would be better if he could slip first. Seeing Zhang Yang being bluffed by him, Beerus's eyes flashed a smug light, and he immediately said to Whis, "Whis, I'm sleepy, hurry back to the 7th universe. Teacher Anna, see you later." Goodbye. Anna, who was like a goddess, smiled and waved to Beerus. Sister Anna, Lord Buzz, goodbye. Whis greeted the two with a smile, and then continued to set off to return to the 7th universe. After the group left, Buzz rubbed his hands and said excitedly, "Anna, if you have the opportunity, you must visit the 7th universe. Gods of Destruction, the candidate for the 7th universe, is an extremely powerful human being." Oh, Anna raised her brows, looking a little surprised. To be honest, her realm is extremely high, but just now she didn't pay attention to the 7th universe candidate Gods of Destruction. Listening to what Baz said now, she was a little surprised by Baz's attitude. That is a human being with Gods of Destruction level combat power. This kind of existence is rare in the world. Buzz licked his lips, almost howling. As a fighting fanatic, endless and enjoyable fighting is his lifelong pursuit. If that's the case, Lord Buzz, shall we go to the 7th universe next stop? Anna thought for a moment and suggested. Right on my mind. Buzz grinned. Here, not long after, Zhang Yang and others returned to the 7th universe Gods of Destruction realm. Zhang Yang, from today onwards, you are my candidate for Gods of Destruction in the 7th universe. You have no objection, right? Beerus said lightly. Hearing what Beerus said, Zhang Yang smiled wryly in his heart, but he had never denied it before, so naturally he would not refuse again. But the good news is that Beerus won't be backing down for a short time, so he doesn't need to share his life with Supreme Kai of the 7th universe. So, for now, he doesn't have to worry about his life being threatened. Besides, there is a candidate for Gods of Destruction in the 7th universe, and it will be much easier for him to act. The reason is naturally that when he secretly went to the 6th universe to collect Super Dragon Balls soon, if he was discovered, he would naturally have a good identity to cover up. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang thinks that being a candidate for the 7th universe Gods of Destruction is not as bad as imagined. Okay, I'll sleep first. Whis, after 3 months, wake me up, I want to eat delicious food. After Beerus said this, he went back to his palace directly. Hearing Beerus's words, Zhang Yang's eyes flickered, and he immediately dropped a capsule, and then went into retreat. Although his current strength is already at the Gods of Destruction level, he still appears extremely weak in front of higher level masters. First of all, the first small goal is to surpass Beerus, and he is only one retreat away from surpassing Beerus. So, he will naturally choose to retreat. In IG 740, one day in May, Zhang Yang slowly left the state of retreat. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the 22nd year of retreat, and the reward. 5% chance to weaken attribute effects, 5% chance to kill attribute effects, 50 times 5 side effects Kaioken, flash time plus 1 second, combat power value plus 0.5. Quote. Collect the reward now or delay it. Receive. Zhang Yang didn't even think about it, and directly chose to receive it now. In an instant, after all the rewards were received, Zhang Yang directly looked at his character attribute panel. Host. Zhang Yang. Bloodline. Saiyan. Combat Strength. Gods of Destruction level Combat Strength 10.5. Skills. Flash time for 2 seconds, 50 times Kaioken without side effects, instant transmission advanced version, 40% chance to kill attribute effects, 40% chance to weaken attribute effects, the second stage Ultra Instinct. Items. Unlimited multiple gravity room, unlimited food house, Shondo 999+. 10.5. Zhang Yang saw that his combat power value had reached a terrifying 10.5, and his eyelids couldn't help but twitched. Good guy. You know, the most powerful gods of destruction Beerus in the original book has a combat power value of only 10, but now Zhongyang's combat power value has reached 10.5. So far, Zhongyang has completely surpassed the strongest gods of destruction ever. Don't think that the value of 10.5 is too low. You must know that Beerus has only a value of 10 after I don't know how many years of cultivation. As for Zhongyang, even though he has a plug-in, surpassing Beerus in just over 20 years is an existence that is rarer in hundreds of millions of years. At the same time, in the gods of destruction realm of the 7th universe, Angel Anna from the 15th universe and Buzz from gods of destruction are sitting around a stone table with Beerus and Whis, and on the stone table there are delicious food in every color and taste. By the way, this spicy chicken is really delicious. Angel Anna was eating a small piece of chicken with great excitement, her face was full of satisfaction. She didn't know how many years she had lived, but today was the first time she ate the delicious food here, and she felt that this trip was really not for nothing. That's not true. These delicacies are from my 7th universe candidate gods of destruction Zhongyang. This kid can be called the face of my 7th universe. Hearing that Anna was full of praise for the food he prepared today, Beerus immediately raised his head proudly. Cut. You look like this. If you don't know it, you think it's your delicious food. While eating, Buzz made complaints. Buzz, are you going to fight? Beerus stood up abruptly. With his temper, he couldn't bear Buzz's nine's weirdness. Hey, do you think you are my opponent? Buzz sneered coldly. Although he is not the most powerful gods of destruction among the 18 universes, he is not even a little stronger than Beerus. The combat power value also reached a terrifying 11.5, which is a full 1.5 combat power index stronger than Beerus, which is 1 stronger than the current Zhongyang. My strength is indeed not as strong as yours, but gods of destruction can't fight with all their strength. In ordinary battles, can you be my opponent? Although Buzz is stronger than Beerus, he is comfortable and unafraid. Although Beerus is not as powerful as Buzz, he definitely has much more combat experience than Buzz. After all, Beerus's talent is not jealous, he can still have a combat power value of 10 under such lethargy, so it can be seen that if he practiced well, how terrifying would his strength be. He. Baz smiled faintly. Beerus, times have changed. When you fought against me, it was tens of millions of years ago. The me now is not the me I used to be. Speaking of the past, he was indeed no match for Beerus in terms of physical skills. But tens of millions of years have passed, and relying on his frequent fights with powerful people, he thinks that his combat experience is far beyond that of Beerus. Oh, Beerus raised his brows, and a little emotion appeared on his face. To be honest, he still recognized Baz's strength very much. Now that he heard him say that, he had the idea of fighting him. Call out. At this time, a piercing sound sounded. Immediately afterwards, Zhongyang appeared. Swish swish swish. In an instant, the appearance of Zhongyang directly broke the deadlock, making everyone turn their attention to him. Good guy. As soon as Zhongyang appeared, Beerus' eyelids twitched involuntarily. Pressure. Yes, Zhongyang, whom he hadn't seen for a year, actually gave him a little pressure. It made Beerus' pupils constrict involuntarily, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Hi, candidate gods of destruction for the 7th universe. While Beerus was shocked, Baz jumped up in front of Zhongyang and said hello. Hello, Lord Buzz. Facing Buzz's enthusiasm, Zhongyang greeted him with a somewhat uncomfortable smile. As for the reason why his face was a little uncomfortable, it was naturally because Beerus told Zhongyang before that this gods of destruction likes to eat people. Buzz, come on, let me see your practice for tens of millions of years. Beerus turned his eyes away from Zhongyang and spoke indifferently. He has seen that Zhongyang's practice has improved a lot this year, but in fact he doesn't understand it. But to be honest, the pressure may be a little bit, but in front of him, Zhongyang is still not enough. So, although he was a little shocked at first, but now he has calmed down, and he is not too afraid of Zhongyang. Most importantly, at this moment, he has more thoughts on Buzz. Beerus, come on. Buzz let out a loud shout, and immediately soared into the sky. Call out. Beerus snorted coldly, also soaring into the sky. Above the sky, Beerus and Buzz looked at each other. Beerus, I haven't fought against you for tens of millions of years. This time, I must let you understand that hard work is better than talent. Buzz yelled loudly, and saw that he disappeared into the air, and when he reappeared in the next second, he had already arrived in front of Beerus. Boom! Buzz's speed was so fast that even Beerus didn't react. At this moment, he received a punch and flew upside down. Call out! Buzz would not let go of the good opportunity of Beerus being hit. He flew forward in an instant, raised his hand and punched him in the chest violently. The strength is good. The speed is also good. Boom! At this moment, Beerus commented indifferently, and then saw a burst of purple energy arrogance rising from his body, and the figure flashed in the next second, and appeared behind Buzz in an instant. Boom! Boom! Rumble! Beerus's sudden attack. Buzz also reacted in an instant, turned around and punched out, and met Beerus' fist. At this moment, the entire space in the 7th universe gods of destruction realm trembled, making a deep, buzzing sound. Horrible! Below, Zhang Yang saw the fist clash in the sky, and his face showed shock. To be honest, although his strength is 0.5 stronger than the current Beerus, but in terms of combat experience or physical skills, he was completely defeated by Beerus. You are still too immature, and with the passage of time, you can be so powerful. Whis took a look at Zhang Yang, smiled and said, now your strength has gone a step further. Hold head high. Zhang Yang nodded, and then set his eyes on Anna, who was eating. This female angel was like a goddess, exuding divine light all over her body, and she looked not a bit more noble than the ordinary angel. Hello, candidate gods of destruction of the 7th universe. Seemingly sensing something, Anna, who was enjoying the food, turned her head to glance at Zhang Yang, and greeted him with a smile. Hello, Miss Anna. Zhang Yang scratched his head with a foolish smile, then walked slowly to sit beside Anna, and whispered, may I ask? Excuse me. Anna put down her chopsticks, wiped her lips and looked at Zhang Yang with a smile. Does Master Buzz really like to eat powerful humans? Zhang Yang blinked and asked. Hearing Zhang Yang's question, Anna was taken aback for a moment, and then couldn't help but burst out laughing. She looked up at Beerus, who was fighting Buzz in the sky, and said, Master Beerus told you right. Tricked. Hearing what Anna said, Zhang Yang's face darkened instantly. He didn't expect that Beerus would use him as a candidate for gods of destruction in the 7th universe. It was really too much. Boom, 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 boom. At this time, the crashing sound in the sky became more and more terrifying. Looking at Zhang Yang, he saw that Beerus and Buzz hit the ground from the high altitude, and then hit the lake not far away from the ground. The water splashed and the fish flew into the air. The sound of punching to the flesh entered Zhang Yang's ears, and for a moment it made him no longer think about being tricked by Beerus, but his hands were itchy at this moment. You surpassed Master Beerus at a young age, and your potential is indeed limitless. At this time, a voice rang in Zhang Yang's ears, and it was these words that directly woke him up from the itchy thoughts. Zhang Yang looked at Anna in surprise, and it happened that the latter was also staring at him with a smile. The four eyes met. Zhang Yang felt like he was being seen through by the sacred and inviolable angel in front of him. A terrifying angel to the extreme. This angel, even if it's not at the Grand Priest level, it's definitely the most powerful angel. Zhang Yang was shocked. Even Whis and Vados can't see through his true strength. And this Anna, just looking at him twice, already knew that his strength is stronger than Beerus, which is enough to show how terrifying this female angel who has never appeared in the original book is. Don't be surprised. Anna smiled slightly, and saw that she stretched out her hand to brush her ear hair. This action added a different kind of charm to her for no reason. At this moment, Zhang Yang saw it in his eyes, and felt a little stunned. To be honest, combined with the memory of all the beauties in the Dragon Ball world, he felt that the sacred and inviolable girl angel in front of him could be called the #1 beauty in Dragon Ball. Behind this adjective, there is no one. In other words, even the childhood goddesses Android 18 Lazuli and Bulma are less attractive in front of this woman. The food you cook is very good. I wonder if you can give me some when I leave later. When Zhang Yang sighed, Anna's voice came. That's of course no problem. Food and other things are completely trivial matters for Zhang Yang, and he has a very good sense of Anna. That is to say, the value of appearance is really the first, at least it makes Zhang Yang look very pleasing to the eye. The most important thing is that this female angel, who did not appear in the original book, is a more powerful existence than Wisan Vados. With Zhang Yang's current strength, it's not that he wants to hug the thigh of this angel named Anna, but it is still necessary to have a good relationship. After all, in his opinion, the world of Dragon Ball is definitely not as simple as in the original book. Boom, boom. At this time, there was an extremely terrifying impact sound in the sky. Zhang Yang looked in the direction, and saw that Beerus and Buzz were colliding fiercely, and their fists remained in the air like afterimages, which showed how fast their fists were. Will you participate in the next Gods of Destruction exchange meeting? Anna also seems to be very interested in Zhang Yang, and has been talking to him all the time. Gods of Destruction exchange conference. Hearing Anna's words, Zhang Yang was slightly taken aback. To be honest, he really didn't know what this was from the Gods of Destruction exchange conference. Do not you know? Anna frowned slightly, then glanced at Whis on the side, and then smiled and said, as the name suggests, Gods of Destruction from all 18 universes will participate. And you, as the 7th universe's candidates for Gods of Destruction naturally have the qualifications to participate. Oh, hearing this, Zhang Yang's eyes lit up with a ray of light. This Gods of Destruction exchange conference really gave him great expectations. After all, he could see a more powerful Gods of Destruction there. Miss Anna, when will this Gods of Destruction exchange conference be held? Zhang Yang asked. According to the time conversion method of your 7th universe, it will be 9 years later. Anna thought for a while, then smiled. 9 years later. Hearing this news, more anticipation and excitement appeared on Zhang Yang's face. He guessed that at the Gods of Destruction exchange conference 9 years later, he might meet Toppo from the 11th universe. After all, this self-proclaimed incarnation of justice isn't just the captain of Team Pride, he's also a candidate for the 11th universe, Gods of Destruction. 9 years are enough for me to grow up. Not to mention crushing all the Gods of Destruction in terms of combat power, at least, few Gods of Destruction are my opponents. Zhang Yang is very confident in his own growth. If he is really allowed to retreat from now until 9 years later, even if he can't reach the level of angel, he will definitely be half-step angel level combat power. Of course, all this is just his conjecture. After all, he wouldn't just go through 9 years of seclusion in such a boring way. But, speaking of it, this year is the 740th year of the IG, so 9 years later it will be the 749th year of the IG. This year, that was the time when the first episode of Dragon Ball officially started. This time the Gods of Destruction exchange conference, I look forward to your performance. Anna showed a mysterious smile, as if implying that she would get some great reward for her good performance. In this regard, Zhang Yang sees it. To be honest, I didn't pay much attention to it. After all, at his current level, he no longer needs anything from the outside world to use it as his own improvement. He wants to become stronger, and he only needs to practice endless retreats to become stronger. Boom, boom. At this moment, there was a knocking sound from one side. Zhang Yang gathered his mind and looked in the direction of the impact, only to see that Buzz and Beerus fell to the ground at the same time, and the battle seemed to be over. Buzz, your physical skills are really good now, and you can evenly match me. Beerus jumped up from the ground, looking at Buzz who was also getting up slowly, his face was full of admiration. Unexpectedly, Buzz didn't appreciate Beerus' praise at all. At this moment, the expression on Buzz's face was not good at all. You know, he has been looking for the strong to fight for tens of millions of years, but what about Beerus? As far as he knew, that was a rare shot. For the past tens of millions of years, I am afraid that he has either been looking for delicious food, or spent it in sleep. So, how can Buzz be happy about the fact that he, who worked hard, was only tied with a lazy guy like Beerus? Beerus, at this Gods of Destruction exchange conference, I will definitely challenge you again. Buzz said in a deep voice, and then set his sights on Zhang Yang. This time, he originally wanted to fight the candidate Gods of Destruction of the 7th universe, but after fighting with Beerus, he is not too old. I'm interested. Anna, Buzz yelled. It's here, Lord Buzz. Anna responded softly. Let's go back, Buzz said lightly. Yes, Anna nodded, and then set her eyes on Zhang Yang. The meaning was obvious. Zhang Yang smiled slightly, took out a capsule, and said, "This is a storage tool called a capsule, which contains enough food to last you and Lord Buzz for a year. Thank you, Zhang Yang. If you are free, you can come to the 15th universe to play." Anna took the capsule. Her beautiful face was full of joy. "There will be a chance." Zhang Yang responded with a smile. "Goodbye." Anna waved goodbye, and then left the Gods of Destruction world directly with the sulking Buzz. "Whis, I think I'm going to start practicing too." After Anna and Buzz left, Beerus looked at Whis seriously and said in a deep voice. Obviously, Buzz's physical skills have caught up, making him aware of the threat. 9 years later, at the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference, Buzz challenged him again, and he was definitely sure of defeating him. So, in order not to lose face, he would probably give up sleeping for the past 9 years and start adapting to fighting. "Yes, Master Beerus," Whis nodded with a smile. On the other hand, Zhang Yang was also amazed at Beerus' awareness. You must know that in the original book, Beerus is an extremely lazy guy, and there is no awareness of spiritual practice at all. And in this world, there is such a great awareness for the first time. How can it not be surprising? Zhang Yang, don't slack off in your practice. 9 years later, I'm waiting for you to surprise those guys. Beerus put his eyes on Zhang Yang and said with a faint smile. Hey. Zhang Yang just smiled silly twice, but didn't answer. His practice is too simple, and he can become stronger endlessly in endless retreats. But, what Beerus said is indeed true. Even though his current combat power value is 10.5, there are at least 6 other gods of destruction stronger than him. The previous small goal of surpassing Beerus has been achieved, so he will naturally set a small goal to surpass all gods of destruction. Among the 18 universes, the strongest gods of destruction should be, even if it's not angel-level combat power, it's definitely infinitely close to angel-level combat power. Zhang Yang's eyes flickered for a moment, and he thought to himself. In this regard, he is looking forward to the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference 9 years later. Next, as Beerus' practice began, Zhang Yang also began to retreat. Spring goes and autumn comes, and a year passes. This year, his combat power value reached 11. He didn't choose to continue retreat, but started to travel in the universe. This tour took a total of 3 years, but don't think he didn't do anything. During these 3 years, he got the 3 Super Dragon Balls of the 7th universe into his pocket through the system. As for the remaining Super Dragon Balls, Zhang Yang still has no choice to collect them for the time being. Just like that, another 3 years passed. IG 747, a day in May. At this moment, Zhang Yang, who came out of closed doors, left the world of gods of destruction in the 7th universe and came to the Earth. Host: Zhang Yang. Bloodline: Saiyan. Combat power: Peak Gods of Destruction level combat power 12.5. Skills: Flash time for 2 seconds, 50 times Kaioken without side effects, instant transmission advanced version, 60% chance to kill attribute effects, 60% chance to weaken attribute effects, the second stage Ultra Instinct. Items: Unlimited Multiple Gravity Room, Unlimited Gourmet House, Shondo 999+, Super Dragon Ball X3. Walking on the streets of Exedu, Zhang Yang took a look at his character attribute panel by the way. When he saw that his combat power had reached 12.5, a satisfied smile suddenly appeared on his face. 7 years ago, his combat power value was 10.5, and 7 years later, his combat power value was 12.5. 7 years, an increase of 2 points, it seems that the growth is extremely slow. But, you know, this is already too much combat power above the usual gods of destruction level combat power. Don't say that every increase of 1 point is an increase of 0.1, which is definitely not a star and a half stronger than before. It is not even an exaggeration to say that Zhang Yang, who now has 12.5 points of combat power, will definitely crush him to death with one finger when he meets his self 7 years ago. This is not an exaggeration at all, it is completely the reality of Chiguo. In the past, he was not as good as Beerus in terms of body skills, combat experience, or physical skills, and he might lose. Now, he doesn't have this problem at all, because his strength has completed a transformation. And the key point of this transformation is the combat power value of 12 points. As for why, Zhang Yang himself didn't quite understand. Anyway, he could feel that he had entered another new world. Suddenly, a light flashed in Zhang Yang's mind. He looked back at his character attribute panel, and then he was shocked to find a problem. That is, his combat power used to be at the Gods of Destruction level, but now it looks like it has become the peak Gods of Destruction level. In this way, I am already standing at the peak of Gods of Destruction level combat power. If I go further down, then I will be Angel level combat power. Zhang Yang's mouth widened slightly, and a look of shock and anticipation appeared on his face. Traveling through so many years in a flash, he didn't expect to have reached this level. To be honest, it was enough to make him feel like a dream. At the same time, a girl was about to leave, but when she saw Zhang Yang walking on the street in a daze, she stopped suddenly, because the man's appearance, in her opinion, perfectly matched her mate selection criteria. Even, the quality of this man's appearance is still above her standard. And this girl is the heroine of Dragon Ball, Bulma. There was a sound of running. Soon, Bulma from Girls' Generation ran up to Zhang Yang. Hearing the sound of footsteps and a person suddenly appearing in front of him, Zhang Yang, who was still in a daze, glanced at Bulma and then withdrew his gaze. It seemed that he didn't recognize Bulma immediately. "Hello, how are you, handsome?" The moment Zhang Yang withdrew his gaze, Bulma put on an extremely cute and sweet smile, and waved her hand to greet the handsome man in front of her. At this moment, Zhang Yang came to his senses, stared at it, and opened his mouth a little. Bulma. But Zhang Yang didn't expect Bulma to be so proactive. He smiled slightly and said, "Hello. What's the matter?" He knew this blooming girl, but he couldn't call her by name the first time they met. "It's nothing, I just want to get to know you." Bulma smiled and said, "I grew up so big, I have never been in a relationship. The moment I saw you, I felt like I fell in love." Direct. Bulma's words should not be too direct. At first, Zhang Yang was a little confused when he heard it, but after thinking about it in a blink of an eye, this seems to be Bulma's nympho character in the original book, and he was relieved. Thinking about it, Zhang Yang looked Bulma up and down. It is now IG 747, which means she is only 14 years old. For such a young girl, to be honest, Zhang Yang is really hard to do. After all, at his age for 2 lifetimes, being Bulma's father is more than enough. Therefore, Zhang Yang smiled slightly and said, "I never believe in love at first sight. If there is fate, then we will meet again next time." After saying this, he pointed his index finger between his eyebrows, and under Bulma's extremely shocked gaze, he disappeared directly. Nani? How did he disappear? The disappearance of Zhang Yang made Bulma really shocked and didn't know what to say. She glanced around, and Zhang Yang's face appeared in her mind, which made her grit her teeth and whispered, "I will definitely meet you again." Quote. After finally meeting a tempted man, Bulma naturally cannot give up. On Zhang Yang's side, he has already arrived at the high altitude of Baozi Mountain. Looking down, Zhang Yang soon saw little Goku practicing boxing on a hill. Seeing this little guy, Zhang Yang couldn't help laughing. This was his childhood in his previous life. Call out. The figure of Zhang Yang above the sky flickered for a moment, and the next second he appeared directly in the open space below. Little Goku's senses are also extremely sharp. At the moment Zhang Yang appeared, he heard the sound of breaking through the air, and immediately set his sights on this strange man who suddenly appeared. "Hi Kakarot, I'm Zhang Yang." Zhang Yang smiled and waved hello. Kakarot. Hearing the name Zhang Yang called out, little Goku was slightly taken aback, then glanced behind him, then looked left and right, and finally saw the strange man in front of him pointing at himself with a smile on his face. His eyes widened involuntarily, and he said strangely, "Hey, you fool. Are you calling me? It's just you and me here, it's not you, is it a ghost?" Zhang Yang laughed, and then saw his tail that had been wrapped around his waist suddenly swung out, and slashed twice in midair. Crackling. A sonic boom sounded, and the little Goku on the side was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. But soon, little Goku came back to his senses. You even have a tail." Only then did the little Goku notice that Zhang Yang had the same tail as him, which made him jump up and down excitedly, and then looked around Zhang Yang like a circle. After looking at it for a while, little Goku suddenly stopped, and then said to Zhang Yang, "But I am not Kakarot as you said, my name is Goku, Son Goku." "Haha, it's all the same. Kakarot is your name too." Zhang Yang smiled lightly. A real first encounter with Son Goku, honestly, kind of interesting. As a Dragon Ball fan, he never imagined that one day he would be able to meet and talk with one of his favorite characters. Certainly, thinking of this, Zhang Yang couldn't help but think of the Bulma he met just now. To be honest, he also didn't expect that he would be able to come into contact with Bulma so closely one day before the time travel. Whatever, but it surprises me that you also have a tail. Little Goku stared at Zhang Yang and said, "That's natural." Zhang Yang said, "You and I are both Saiyan." Saiyan. Little Goku was slightly taken aback. "That's right. There's no need to tell you the details, you'll find out later." Zhang Yang patted little Goku on the shoulder and said, "What the hell? Hey, your name is Zhang Yang, right? You seem very powerful, why don't we fight?" Little Goku waved his hand, and then set his eyes on Zhang Yang. At this moment, he was a little excited both in words and in his expression. Hearing the little Goku's words, Zhang Yang burst out laughing. "This kid is really a fighter. Now you are no match for me." Zhang Yang chuckled and shook his head, rejecting little Goku's invitation to fight. Today's Son Goku is undoubtedly an ant-like existence to him. If it is Son Goku in the late stage of Dragon Ball, he is a little bit interested in fighting him. But unfortunately, this is only the first stage of Dragon Ball, and the plot of the first part has not even officially started. "How dare you look down on me?" Seeing that he was underestimated, little Goku suddenly became unhappy, backflipped a few steps, and then performed a very classic high leg raising ready to attack. Seeing this, Zhang Yang shook his head helplessly. "Since this kid wants to be abused, then please satisfy him." Immediately, Zhang Yang hooked his fingers at little Goku. The meaning was obvious, that is to let him attack first. "Drink." The little Goku also didn't talk nonsense, and rushed towards Zhang Yang while clenching his fists with a loud shout. Boom! Raising his hand, little Goku punched out. Zhang Yang smiled and took a step sideways, stretched out a finger, and lightly tapped the back of the little Goku's neck. Boom! Spike. A spike without any suspense. Looking at the little Goku who was lying on the ground and passed out, Zhang Yang showed a little helplessness on his face. To tell the truth, he really collected a little bit of power just now. That's it, little Goku also fainted. Moreover, Zhang Yang conservatively estimated that this kid would have to faint for at least a few days before recovering. Just throwing little Goku for a few days like this, Zhang Yang still couldn't bear it, and immediately took out a fairy bean from the system space and fed it to him. Well, little Goku wakes up faintly. Seeing this kid get up, Zhang Yang teleported away in order not to be pestered by him anymore. "Zhang, hey, where's that guy?" Little Goku got up from the ground after waking up, and then scanned around, but found no shadow of Zhang Yang, and his eyes widened immediately. "This guy's strength is too strong. It seems that my practice is not hard enough." Little Goku gritted his teeth, clenched his fist and said in a low voice, "Zhang Yang, next time I see you, I will definitely surprise you." Zhang Yang naturally didn't know about little Goku's rhetoric after waking up, but even if he knew, he probably wouldn't care. The little Goku at the current stage really doesn't have the strength to surprise Zhang Yang, unless this kid can transform into Super Saiyan in the first episode of Dragon Ball. At this moment, Zhang Yang returned to his home in Exodus. Looking at the dusty house, he couldn't help shaking his head, but he didn't clean it up, and he hasn't moved in completely yet. Little Zhang Yang. At this moment, Whis' voice suddenly came from Zhang Yang's ear. "Here I am," Zhang Yang replied. "A distinguished guest from the world of gods of destruction has come, and I need you to come back to entertain me." Whis' voice continued. "Dear guest." Hearing this address, Zhang Yang couldn't help but twitch his brows. To be called a respected guest by Angel Whis is probably not an easy status. Soon, Zhang Yang and Whis stopped communicating. Taking Zhang Yang's instant transmission, it can be said that he returned to the gods of destruction world of the 7th universe almost instantly. Call out. The sound of breaking the air sounded. In the next second, Zhang Yang's figure appeared in the gods of destruction world. Swish swish swish. Following the appearance of Zhang Yang, several people in the Gods of Destruction world immediately set their sights on him. Is this the 7th universe's candidate Gods of Destruction? A white-skinned woman wearing Gods of Destruction costume said indifferently. Zhang Yang set his eyes on this woman, and his brows couldn't help but twitched. Another Gods of Destruction never seen before. And still a woman. Immediately, Zhang Yang set his sights on another person. She is very similar to Vados in appearance, but her figure is not as slender as her. To be more careful, it is a bit like Vados in her teenage years. In response, Zhang Yang's eyes narrowed instantly. Without much guesswork, he understood that these two guys were definitely the Gods of Destruction and Angel of a certain universe. Hello, candidate Gods of Destruction of the 7th universe. The girlish version of Vados spoke. She was extremely gentle, with a smile on her face like a porcelain doll, which made her look very heartwarming. Hello. Zhang Yang nodded and smiled, and greeted him. Little Zhang Yang, this is Rebecca, Angel of the 17th universe. This is Mei, Lord Gods of Destruction of the 17th universe. Whis came slowly, stopped beside Zhang Yang, and introduced in a low voice, this time it's coming. Whis, let me tell. Angel Rebecca, who resembled Vados, stepped forward and came in front of Zhang Yang in an instant. I saw her holding the angel staff, and said with a sweet smile, this time, I am actually here for the food. Oh, Zhang Yang was slightly surprised. This angel, how does he know his food? Could it be? Anna and the others spread the word. That's right. Rebecca smiled and nodded. Hearing Rebecca's words, Zhang Yang was shocked in vain. This angel actually knew what was on his mind. Yeah. Rebecca's eyes turned into crescents when she smiled, looking extremely cute. Quote. Regarding this, Zhang Yang didn't dare to think about anything. Now, he is very thankful that he didn't think too much about anything bad, otherwise it would really be the scene of social death. Thank you for liking my food. Zhang Yang thanked her, and his eyes were on Mei who was on the side. He couldn't see through the strength of this woman Gods of Destruction. With his current strength, the existence that he can't see through is definitely angel-level combat power. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. A Gods of Destruction who broke through the shackles and reached the angel level, this talent is absolutely outrageous. But thinking about it carefully, with his current progress, it doesn't seem too far away to completely surpass Gods of Destruction. However, the second small goal he set seems to be difficult to achieve in a short time. Thinking of this, Zhang Yang looked away from Rebecca, who was staring at him, and couldn't help but be surprised. This little loli probably has seen what he was thinking just now, right? Not at all. I'm not the kind of person who snoops on other people's thoughts at will. Sensing Zhang Yang's gaze towards her, Rebecca stuck out her tongue, made a grimace and explained. But this explanation seems very pale. Regarding this, Zhang Yang was speechless for a while, but he didn't care about it. His strength will be exposed one day, and whoever knows it first will make the same reason. Where's Master Beerus? Zhang Yang put his eyes on Whis and asked in a low voice. Master Beerus is sleeping, and he probably won't wake up in a short time. Whis replied. In recent years, Beerus has been practicing under Whis, and finally slept once, not to mention more than 10 years, because of the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference 2 years later. This year or 2 years will still be full of sleep. That's it. That's really a pity. Zhang Yang laughed. Oh, so, you have researched a new dish this time. Zhang Yang's words made Whis' eyes brighten up. That's right. Zhang Yang showed a mysterious smile. This time, he will definitely make Whis and others cheer up, even sweat profusely. 10 minutes later, all ingredients are ready. At this moment, on the ground in the Gods of Destruction world, Zhang Yang and the others were sitting around a stone table. What is this? Angel Rebecca of the 17th universe stared at the steaming red soup pot on the stone table with amber-colored eyes, and asked in surprise. Hot pot. Zhang Yang explained with a smile. Hot pot. Hearing this word, Whis and the others were stunned. Especially Gods of Destruction Mei from the 17th universe. At this moment, she looked at the red, oily boiling soup, her eyebrows were furrowed. It seemed that she thought it was a hot pot, and it seemed a little disgusting. These are the ingredients, put them in and boil them for a while, and then eat them, and then dip them in the dipping sauce and eat them. I believe you will fall in love with this delicacy. Zhang Yang laughed. He also thoughtfully prepared several kinds of dipping sauces for them, including spicy ones, non-spicy ones, and even iced cola. If it was spicy, drinking iced cola would refresh their throats. Zhang Yang's words made Rebecca and Whis look at each other. The two hesitated for a while, and then imitated Zhang Yang and started to burn their fresh hair belly. Watching Zhang Yang spend a few seconds to cook the hairy belly, Whis stared at it. He remembered that he seemed to have this dish when he ate maoshuiwang before. Remember the taste buds, it seems to be delicious, but it is too spicy. At this moment, the piece of fresh hairy belly in Whis' hand was also laid down. After hesitating for a moment, he chose the dipping sauce without chili, dipped it twice, and then put it in his mouth. Well, the combination of sesame sauce and fresh hairy tripe in red soup, Whis only took 2 bites. The taste of the spicy and crispy fresh hairy tripe made his eyes widen. 2. Ma'am, mum, so delicious. Rebecca, eat quickly. This taste buds, hiss, so refreshing. Whirring. For almost a moment, a hot feeling came over, making Whis unable to comment anymore. However, it is not hard to see from his extremely satisfied expression that he highly recognizes and admires this delicacy called hot pot. Therefore, Rebecca swallowed her saliva, and then scalded a piece of fresh hair belly imitatively. A few seconds later, Rebecca had already scalded a piece of fresh hairy belly. Looking at the 2 small bowls of dipping sauce in front of her, she thought for a while, and finally put the blanched fresh hairy belly into the spicy millet dipping sauce. After rolling twice, she slowly raised her hand and put the fresh hair belly into her mouth. At the moment of entrance, it was so hot that her eyes widened and swelled up in an instant. Zhang Yang on the side couldn't help but blink when he saw Rebecca's operation. You know, Rebecca must have never eaten chili, and the hot pot of red soup itself is moderately spicy, plus the spicy millet dipping sauce. He believed that this little girl would have to breathe fire in a short while. Hoo, holy shit, this feeling, sizzling, delicious, but, why is my face burning? There's also this sizzling feeling, I really have never experienced it before. Surprised, the moment Rebecca started chewing, her flawless white skin turned red in vein. Not only that, but beads of sweat slowly emerged from her forehead. Tick, Zhang Yang saw a crystal clear bead of sweat dripping from her forehead down her cheek onto the stone table, and made a crisp sound. Seeing this, Zhang Yang couldn't help laughing. Rebecca, what's wrong with you? May, who had not moved her chopsticks, frowned tightly. May, it's okay, foo. Cece, this delicacy called hot pot is simply too delicious. My God. Although Rebecca is wrapped in a spicy feeling at the moment, and even feels a little bit on the top, but, the deliciousness of this fresh hairy belly is obviously more high than this spicy feeling. Master May, you can try it too. I think this delicacy will not disappoint you. It's just, look at Rebecca's expression, you'd better not use her dipping sauce. Whis smiled. Hearing Whis' reminder, May narrowed her eyes slightly, then glanced at the boiling hot oil, and then at Rebecca who was enjoying herself endlessly. She swallowed for the first time. Seem, this human delicacy, can you try it yourself? Thinking of this, May slowly picked up the chopsticks on the stone table, and imitated the actions of the others and began to burn the fresh hair belly. A few seconds later, May brought the scalded fresh hair belly in front of her, took a closer look, and then sniffed it again. The pungent spicy smell hit her, making her frown again. But, she still chose to put this piece, fresh hairy tripe into the sesame sauce and rolled it twice. Well, the fresh hairy belly wrapped in sesame paste was slowly put into May's mouth. At the moment of entrance, she didn't show any expression at all, but after chewing for 2 or 3 times, the moment she slowly swallowed into her throat, she couldn't help but look at her. May's face was full of shock. How about it, is it delicious? At this time, Rebecca on the side laughed, and only heard her say, as I said, human beings are very intelligent, don't underestimate these weak guys. Speaking of this, Rebecca suddenly stuck out her tongue. She turned her eyes to Zhang Yang again, and said a little embarrassedly, that. Zhang Yang, I didn't underestimate you mean. It's okay. Zhang Yang thinks that the angel Rebecca of the 17th universe is really cute, even though her age may not match her appearance. But, at this moment, Rebecca seemed to be a little Lolita, Her every move was really cute. In just half an hour, about 20 or so ingredients were all wiped out by the 4 of Zhongyang. Ha, it's so cool. Rebecca's personality is relatively real, and at this moment she sighed happily while hugging her bulging belly with a satisfied face. May gracefully wiped her lips and sat aside without saying a word, but it was not hard to see from the satisfaction left on her face that she approved of this delicacy called hot pot very much. After cleaning up the stone table, Zhongyang slowly took out 4 desserts from the gourmet room. This is a Michelin-level dessert, strawberry sundae ice cream. When the strawberry sundae ice cream appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of Wis and the others. What is this? Wis opened his eyes a little, and asked with great anticipation. Desserts. Zhongyang smiled and scattered the strawberry sundae. Wis looked at the dessert in his hand in surprise, then dug a spoonful into his mouth with a spoon. Well, the melt-in-your-mouth ice cream made Wis let out a groan of pleasure. Seeing Wis's appearance, Rebecca and May looked at each other with the foreshadowing of the hot pot before, and then began to enjoy it. The 2 women dug a spoonful and put it into their mouths at the same time. At the same time, their expressions were in vain, and then they couldn't help but groan in praise. In just a few tens of seconds, Rebecca and May directly wiped out the strawberry sundae ice cream in their hands. Zhongyang, I want more. Rebecca, the little loli, squinted her eyes, licked the corners of her lips with her little tongue, and looked at Zhongyang with a smile. Although May didn't speak, it was not hard to tell from the way she looked at Zhongyang that she also wanted to eat this strawberry sundae again. No problem. Enough. Zhongyang grinned. Wis on the side glanced at Zhongyang, and then at May and Rebecca, with a smile in the corner of his eyes. He knew May's character extremely well, and he always had a cool attitude towards everyone, without any other emotions. Today, however, he saw May showing different emotions. He was really surprised. From here, it is not hard to see the magic of this little guy, Zhongyang. By the way, with little Zhongyang's strength, maybe he can become the real gods of destruction. Wis's eyes flickered for a moment, and he couldn't help thinking, maybe, after the Gods of Destruction Exchange Conference in 2 years' time, I can introduce little Zhongyang to my father. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.